going on? Here you go.
Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, MBs, Adam Conover is here. Am I saying that right? Conover?
Yeah, you got it right, man.
Of Adam Ruins Everything originally, and now you have a new Netflix show coming out.
Got a new Netflix show called The G Word. Yeah, it's out right now.
Called The G Word that is out right now. And, Adam has been on Twitch for a while, so I was like, let's have him on.
Hell yeah. I have like a 1/200th of your viewership, but, I play Elden Ring sometimes at 1 in the morning.
But it doesn't matter. You have, dude, who cares? You have a fucking Netflix show. You know what I mean? Let's take a look here. Let's watch this trailer real quick.
Hell yeah.
Is it going to be awkward watching it side by side? You're like, nah, fuck
I've
that.
watched it tens of thousands of times.
It's like, I love that shit. It's so good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's play it.
Our government is supposed to be of the people, by the people, for the people. So shouldn't we, the people, understand what the hell it actually does?
Looking good in there, man.
Government is practically a dirty word in America.
I tried to upgrade
And
the
if you
look
don't
for this
believe me,
show.
try bringing it up on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you look like you got a thoughty look going. I like it.
All right. This is the first time it's been put that way to me, but I'll take it.
Yeah, your little thought and in your suit. Like, I feel like in the Adam Ruins Everything, you were more like, "Hey, I'm the nerdy guy," but like now you're like, "I'm fucking sexy." What's up?
I was playing a character on that show, and everybody thought that that's the way I actually was. But that was me that's like Paul Rubens and Pee Wee Herman. It was like a extra nerdy version of myself. So this is me. I'm myself here, and in real life, I'm sexy. I'm trying. I don't know if I'm sexy. Whatever.
Hell yeah. Wait, let me just retweet your tweet.
Oh yeah.
Saying that you're coming here. Damn, you tweet a lot, dude.
Well, today.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Love this. See, all cap style is good. I should start doing it.
I just do that when I'm, promoting shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stands out. That's
Yeah.
what you want to do.
All right. I just tweeted it out. Adam is here to ruin everything. My stream. All right. A comedic look at the government.
We're going to investigate all the ways, good and bad, the government affects our lives.
Hello, is it question time?
I have some concerns. 1 out of every 16 workers in America is employed by the federal government. They shape every aspect of our lives.
Welcome to the GPS Operations Center.
So the entire GPS constellation is run by these 10 people.
How old are you? 20 years old.
Okay. When I was 20 years old, I was a fucking dumbass, man. I couldn't have been doing this.
Do you trust the government?
We're a superpower, the biggest, baddest motherfucker in the world.
The more I learn, the more questions I have. What do you all do here?
What we don't do here. I'm watching for any foreign animal diseases. I'm listening. That's a normal move.
Who exactly is touching all of our meat?
Getting ready to fly through the middle of a major hurricane.
We work in partnership with industry across government. Well, it is really one team.
Yeah, but okay, that was a wonderful political answer. But come on.
Netflix trailer team does a good job. That's a nicely edited trailer.
You're like the show not as good, but the trailer is bomb. Okay, so what's up? You're libertarian now. Got it. And that's your attitude. I got
Wait,
it.
this shows the opposite of it.
No. This is like
This is a
small government guy.
This is a show about everything good and bad the government does. So we talk about a lot of shit like the GPS system the government runs, the entire GPS network, lets every company use it for free. I think that's kind of an anti-libertarian point because it's like the private companies could not build the GPS system by themselves. It took 50 years of the government doing it. I actually finally had most gratifying DM I ever got. I got a DM from a libertarian saying, I'm a libertarian, but your show convinced me we do need the government to do some things. And
You
I
need
was
to
like,
alert the authorities that was a pedophile DMing you immediately. Follow
Fair
that
enough.
up by saying, except for the age of consent laws and the arbitrary nature of age of consent laws.
I love that libertarians always get hung up on age of consent laws. It drives them nuts.
The baby market, the marketplace of babies. That's a real thing. Okay, so All right, this is actually really interesting because your show and the G word, the government word, is totally relevant to, I mean, obviously everything that we're talking about, but specifically on this day, a week where the baby formula crisis is like really popping off on the internet, and I've had some takes on this and how the government has tried to address the problem. And hold on, we were looking at the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial shit, which was garbage, but hold on, let me pull this up. Where is it? So I in the aftermath of the Biden administration coming out and saying that they are basically fucking drop shipping, thousands and thousands of baby formula into Indiana under Operation Fly Formula. I said, capitalism is so wild that 4 companies control all baby formula and the stuff they make overseas is not allowed to be sold here, even though EU standards are higher. So when one plant is shut down to avoid an FDA investigation, everything collapses. The government has to fly formula in. And people, oh boy, did people get mad at me. Libertarians that were DMing you.
How'd they get mad? That's an objectively correct take.
Well, you're a little biased, so that's probably why. You're not the co-founder of the Institute for Progress, a think tank accelerating scientific, technological, and industrial progress, who interested in progress studies and effective altruism. Just like a Silicon Valley version of like we're libertarians and think that like charity will actually go a long way and solve all our problems. It just hasn't yet. You're not one of those big brain guys.
Yeah. No, effective altruism is like I don't completely hate effective altruism, except it's always used by these guys, by the libertarian types. It's like good to figure out, hey, how can you best like give money to poor people? That's a good thing to do. But then these guys are like, well, that's the only way that we should help anybody is by billionaires scraping off 0.5% to like send overseas. What was this guy's beef with you? What did he say?
Well, he was mad because capitalism is when a government regulator bans most competitors from entering the market. Now, what these guys always like play fast and loose with that I personally love is that like they think that it's not like governments doing this at the behest of corporations lobbying the government. Yeah. Like as though the government itself is like, no, I fucking love, I as an individual independent entity I'm not even motivated by the revolving door between the FDA and companies like Abbott. I'm not motivated by that at all. I'm just the government, and I love doing communism. And communism is when you have a duopoly or an oligopoly. Yeah. And that's the only reason that the government is doing this is it's.
No, you know what pisses me off about this is that these guys have identified a problem, but they're blaming the wrong person. Like. So libertarians will complain about regulatory capture, which is a real problem. It's when you have a regulator and then you've got a corporation that like basically takes control of the regulator and dictates what it does and uses it to build a monopoly. And dudes like this will claim that that's a problem with the idea of regulation. Yeah. And it's not. It's a problem with capitalism and like money infecting the political system and the revolving door. If we actually, it is proof that we have ineffective regulation. And if you had no regulation, then that's just by
even
default
worse.
What you would end up with. You'd end up with an even bigger monopoly. So what they should like, it's them blaming the government for what they're fucking doing. That's what capitalism is doing.
Yeah. Which is ironic because the original shortage of baby formula came from Abbott closing down a facility in Michigan, specifically because there may or may not have been some whistleblowers in that facility, in that factory, for saying for years to the FDA that, this baby formula, the conditions of the baby formula is being made is actually horrifying. And there's like a lot of bacteria growing inside of these vats that they're using. And the FDA, of course, surprisingly, in that G word structure that you were mentioning, refused to investigate adequately until it was too late and 2 babies actually died. Then they conducted an investigation that was inconclusive, unfortunately, because there was a lot of hiding information on behalf of Abbott. And then they even quite literally shut the plant down in its entirety instead of allowing the FDA to conduct like a full-blown investigation after 2 babies died. But the investigation that they did do ended up finding that like these were separate diseases that these 2 babies got, and it wasn't from the plant itself. But they scrubbed it, they hid all the information, and they stopped an investigation from being conducted.
Yeah.
And the FDA wasn't exactly super willing to conduct one anyway because of what we just mentioned.
Yeah. Well, look, if you are the very few number of companies making baby formula and being regulated by the FDA, and nobody else is paying any attention, then you are going to be the people who have the closest relationship with the FDA. Like there are just executives at these companies who are paid millions of dollars a year just to call the FDA on the phone and be like, "Hey, Bob, what the fuck's happening?" You know. And if nobody else is putting pressure on Bob, if the public doesn't know what's going on, then like there isn't going to be, then that's the relationship that's going to dominate. And so you're going to have them be able to get out of inspections and shit like that, and things are really going to go sideways. But this is exactly the sort of problem that the government should be able to regulate. And like one of the things we talk about on the show, we talk about a lot of things the government does well. We talk about a lot of things that it really fucks up. But like there's a whole lot of things that used to kill Americans all the time, and the government just sent people in to solve those problems, like meat inspection. Meat inspection has a lot of problems, but at the very least, every piece of meat you eat is like touched by a USDA inspector. And like we have drastically lowered the rates of foodborne illnesses. We talk about the FDIC, how the FDIC like is such an effective regulator of banks. They take over banks when they're failing.
You're a bit of a cuck, I think, for the nanny state. If I want to get trichinosis, it's my God-given right, and
Look, and both of those regulators are not perfect, right? But like those are problems that through like New Deal style, super muscular regulation, like we fucking like put a collar on capitalism, and it like has been working for 100 years, and that is something we can do again should we fucking choose to. Should like the electeds actually want to do it.
I just want to point out something in this tweet that so many libertarians conveniently overlooked, which is even though EU standards are higher, and by the way, the companies that are making baby formula in America are also dominating the European market as well. So it's the same exact company making higher standard baby formula in Europe for some reason. Why would that
be?
How did that happen? How I wonder
could have something to do with them being forced to behave differently by a different government that takes the issue more seriously.
Another question I always ask myself is, of course, the sale of pharmaceuticals. The only country on the planet now the VA can do collective bargaining on pharmaceutical purchases, but the only country where it was literally illegal until like 6 years ago to do any kind of like mass purchases and bargain to lower the prices of pharmaceuticals is the United States of America. Why, I wonder, Big Pharma has no problem selling the same medicine in Australia for like 1/10 the price.
Yeah. Look, once you start looking at regulation, you will see everywhere that in the U.S. they kick and scream and, protest when you try to put the smallest regulation on them. When they do it in other countries, they just fucking work it out and figure out how to make money anyway. Like here in the U.S., we have cable monopolies, right? You only have one choice for your internet service provider via cable, which is like they say they compete with DSL. They don't. DSL, like you're not fucking streaming off of DSL, right? Who do you pay for cable here?
I pay Spectrum, and it's dog shit.
Yeah, it's dog shit.
It's the only provider in this neighborhood.
Yeah, it's the only provider in my neighborhood too. There's no fiber. There's no anything else. In other countries, they make the cable providers share the lines, and so they make them compete. And guess what? They fucking make money anyway because capitalism is good at making money no matter what regulations you put on. You put regulations that safeguard people, competition and people's safety, and they are smart enough to make a profit anyway. They make less, but who gives a shit?
It's crazy. Who gives a shit? The shareholders, the real jobs providers, and the real productive members of society. Adam, you are such. Oh my God, I didn't realize you were a fucking commie. When you said the G word, I thought you were coming in here to speak the truth about the nanny state, and you're over here talking about the government enforcing competition. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Chattanooga has the highest speeds in the entire country.
Oh, I've heard of this, but tell me why.
And of course, the reason is because the government was like, "Yeah, we're gonna fuck it. Like, we're gonna use this. We're gonna offer this public utility."
Right, because it's a public
And of course,
utility.
they were like, "No, you can't do that,"
Yeah.
and they were like super against it. But then the people of Chattanooga did it anyway, and then of course, every ISP was like, "Just kidding, we have fiber." We have money to spend on
Once
fiber.
they have a hint of competition, they all start putting fiber in. And by the way, the other thing those companies did was they put in fiber around Chattanooga. Then they tried to get and I believe they've done it successfully in a lot of states. They got states to pass a law against cities putting in their own fiber. So like any other city that wants to do what Chattanooga does, there's like the lawyers for the ISPs
So awesome.
will try to stop you from doing it.
And then we have people who get banned for 2 weeks because they said they want to plant a bomb in an ISP. I mean, obviously, I abhor that. That's terrible, violent behavior. But like, you know, in some respects, it's even wilder to ban Sanchovies for that long. I'm just saying. Anyway, free Sanchovies. More like 3 months. Yeah, he was gone for a long time.
Damn.
Okay. So. Anyway, how exactly does capitalism mean that there are 5 companies which make baby formula in the United States? The reason why there's only 4 or 5 companies is because all industries naturally want to monopolize. All industries naturally would like to, under capitalism, whether there's regulation or not, try to become an oligopoly. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why you have larger companies that engage in like predatory pricing, like Amazon does when it comes to e-commerce, or the airliner industry. This is what they do. They suck up all the smaller companies until they are the dominant force. The government is supposed to do what is known as antitrust, but in America, our attitude around antitrust laws is a little bit silly, where we believe that as long as, legally speaking, the consumer is not hurt by an oligopoly's existence, as long as the price point is low for the consumer,
Yep.
you legally will not engage in antitrust lawsuits against a monopoly.
Yeah, that was put in place by, I believe, under Robert Bork. That was his theory, and it's been used by like every judge. And one of the reasons is it's easy for a judge to figure out, because the government used to try to say, yo, this is going to reduce competition. It's going to hurt labor. It's going to hurt all these other people. It's going to have less choice in the marketplace. And the judges were like, I'm too stupid to understand that. And then the right-wing lawyers were like, oh, all you should worry about is our price is going to go up. And it's very easy for the corporate lawyers to say, no, prices are going to go down. And so the judges are like, okay, great. I can wrap my head around that. That's what we've been living under for 30 years. That's starting to change, though. Like the FTC and the DOJ, for the first time, like ever, at least since the 70s, have started. They're now trying to change what's called the consumer welfare standard and like actually regulate monopolies more. I just spoke in front of the FTC, in front of Lena Khan. You know Lena Khan? No. Lena Khan is Biden's appointee to the FTC. She's the chair of the FTC. She's like fucking 33. She's incredible. She like.
So finally, someone who knows what the internet is like.
Yeah. I mean, she's a 33-year-old. She's younger than I am. And she wrote a viral article in law school called Amazon's Antitrust Paradox that like completely reevaluated the last 50 years of antitrust law. It went viral in legal circles. She's now running the FTC and is like specifically going after like large monopolies, trying to lay the legal groundwork to eventually be able to stop mergers and break them up. And I spoke in front of her about media mergers, which like, Adam Ruins Everything was killed by a media merger. By AT&T buying Time Warner is why the show was canceled. And now all these companies are still merging with each other more and more. There's like 4 fucking media companies left that make any TV or movies. It's
I know,
terrible.
but how else could you get this brilliant moment from, wait, hold on. What was it? Free Guy? Hold on, I got to play this. I just watched it on the plane last night, and I wanted to video game myself. Hold on. Does anyone have the clip readily available, the Free Guy one?
Oh my
God.
God.
The Twitter clip? Without mergers, how could you get, the greatest movie clip of all time? Yeah, the lightsaber. And then it's a lightsaber, dude. One. Does anyone have it? Come on, dude. One of you guys had to have it.
I'm trying to struggle.
This guy was the roommate of the creator of BoJack Horseman in college. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah, one of my best friends created BoJack Horseman. We were in a comedy group called Old English, and we were roommates together for 3 years. And then he moved to LA to make BoJack Horseman. Raphael Bob Waxberg is his name.
Okay, are you ready for this though? This is the absolute greatest. This is the absolute greatest movie masterpiece movie. This is movie magic. Okay, there's nothing greater than this sequence of events.
All of it life. Kicking ass. TBD. Third thing here.
Oh, shit. Activate death blow. Bye, guy.
Oh, Taika Waititi's there.
Yeah, it was so cringe. I mean, disappointing.
That's a death blow.
Get up!
Mom, he's coming in with a death blow.
Look at that Rick and Morty poster in the
Oh my
background. A
God.
Deadpool poster in the background. It's perfect. This is it's just so.
They're all doing this now.
Get him, guy.
Shouts out to Jack Clip, the guy for the show.
I mean, good for Jack.
Pog!
Oh, wow.
Captain America shield Pog!
Wow. I didn't realize this movie was a Ready Player One. Shit.
Oh, that's a Hulk. Oh, Pog! I'm pogging. It's a Hulk gauntlet.
This is what this movie is? I didn't realize.
Hold on. Is that a Yes! That's a lightsaber, dude.
Hell yeah! That's the greatest line. This is actually the greatest sequence of events that have ever taken place in a movie. You can't have this kind of fucking IP merger without these mega corporations getting together and buying each other.
I mean,
until
first
they're
of all, yes, you can. They just pay each other a license fee. Like, they all love doing
Not
this.
the same. Not
it's
the
not
same.
hard to do it. Also, this movie, it bothers me so much that just the name Free Guy is such, like, elder Gen Xer shit.
Oh,
because, like,
no, it's written by a dude who's never been on the internet.
Like, Ryan Reynolds literally thinks, yeah, we all call a one-up a free guy, right? Doesn't everyone call it a free guy?
I have no.
That's
I don't
people
even know
called
what
it in
that is.
1981.
I don't even know what that is.
It was like, that's something that like your older brother's older friend would say upon getting a one-up in like Mario Brothers 1 would be, I got a free guy. But it was not. It never became part of gamer lingo. It's just like a very old-fashioned. But like he thinks that it is.
I
Ryan
literally
Reynolds
did
thinks
not
that
even know that.
it's part of. It's like makes sense to be a movie title.
I did not know that at all. Okay, that's awesome. But can we just run this back really quick?
Is that a Yes! That's a lightsaber, dude.
That's my favorite. That's like my favorite fucking moment out of any movie of all time. This is written by like an elder millennial. This entire movie is written by an elder millennial who like has not understood like anything about the internet, video games at all. There's a moment in the movie where towards the end they're like, yeah, who would have thought that people would like to watch video game characters live their life instead of shooting them? Like, no, dude, I love shooting video game characters. The fuck are you talking about? No one wants to watch video game characters live their... Anyway.
Who needs to say this is a lightsaber? Like, is that for who is that for? That line? Yeah, that's a lightsaber.
It's a movie written by it's a movie written by like a 42-year-old that is exclusively for like 50-year-olds to understand as well. It's fun for the whole family.
My God.
Is that a lightsaber? It is.
Yeah, wow. Is that a lightsaber? That's crazy.
The question for me is, what are they going to do?
Oh my God, one of the writers is literally 54 years old. That's awesome. There you go. There you go.
Oh wow, he wrote the original X-Men movies, like the ones that invented the whole fucking superhero thing.
Yeah, there
X2.
And also the co-creator of Alpha's on the Sci-Fi Network. Great.
Oh, yeah,
He's got
terrific.
credentials.
Yeah.
Zach Penn is 55 years old. Holy shit.
Well, that's who I want to be doing my video game content, is a 55-year-old. I mean, he probably remembers Pong, you know? Like, also, there's that Adam Sandler movie that's like the Pixels movie where video games are all Pac-Man, Space Invaders, stuff like that. That's fine. That's fine. I don't mind the old shit. But, like, what are they going to do in movies after they're done with this multiverse trend? Like, I could not believe when I saw the new Spider-Man that everyone was raving about. I finally saw it, and I was like,
I did not like it.
It's just another fucking multiverse movie. It's just, here are the characters from the other movie, and here they are, and they're going to do fucking shtick.
Adam ruins his life by getting death threats and doxxed on the internet because he had a take on the Spider-Man movie. Are you ready for what's about to happen to you? I disavow what he said. Like,
I mean, what's his name? Who's the Spider-Man who nobody liked who's in the movie? The second Spider-Man?
the fucking British. Oh no, they're all British.
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
He's doing
not
like
even British.
he's doing like a Ben Schwartz impression, doing shtick about like just
Oh my God.
ridiculous. Like, and what and they that was what the previous Spider-Man movie was as well, and that's also what the fucking Doctor Strange movie is. That's what this movie is. That's what Ready Player One is. They've been doing it's the same movie over and over again. What are they going to do when people finally get bored of these in 2 years? I have no idea.
Yeah, they're not. They're not gonna get bored of this. This is like it just keeps making billions and billions of dollars.
You're right that it comes from. So what's been happening is that these companies have basically realized that they own vast oil fields, which are the inside of our brains, that we are psychically connected to these characters, and that is a resource that they can purchase and own. And so what's happened is executives no longer want to go to screenwriters, TV writers, actors, and, like get content from them. They want something that they can fucking own, like real estate.
But there's
so
also
they're just buying the characters from each other. Now that they have them all in one place, they're like, now I own this shit. I'm going to put it all in the same movie. It's like fucking
it's also
landlord
proven.
logic.
It's also 100%. You're right, and it's also proven to be like successful. So it's like less risk in their minds is like taking well-established IP and then like reformatting it, repackaging it, and then throwing it back at you in the form of slop is
one of the
proven.
craziest things that's happening in media right now in television is that like the most valuable shows in streaming are the ones that have like 200 episodes, like The Office, Friends, Seinfeld, shows like that. But yet not a single one of the streamers wants to invest to make a new one of those shows. Rick and Morty is like one of the very few examples, and that's
but that's also because like it's a risk, right? They do try it. Like they tried it with like Space Force, for example, and
I mean,
no disrespect to Netflix. I know they're I know they cut your last paycheck, but like
I'll talk shit about Netflix all day.
That was kind of dog water.
Their whole strategy is to create like literally the way their algorithm is optimized. They don't want a lot of episodes of one thing. They want a lot of different tiles on the interface. And they don't want, so they cancel everything after 2 seasons. Doesn't matter how many hits it gets, unless the very cheap reality shows. Those are the only ones that they keep doing. They cancel everything after 2 seasons. And I think it's just bad business strategy because nothing ever grows. Nothing ever sticks in people's minds. They have to re-educate people about all these new shows over and over again. And they never end up creating the new, like, Friends, the new Office, whatever it is, because they'd much rather, license something and make a couple episodes of it and then throw it in the trash. It's like bad capitalism. They are bad at doing capitalism is the problem. In addition to capitalism being a problem.
I agree. Patriot Act with a better Hasan. Yeah, that was a good show, but there were some issues with it apparently. But we don't know. We don't know what their numbers look like. So I guess they're making those decisions internally. And
yeah.
But to be fair, demonstrably, Netflix is not doing well because we've seen their subscription numbers and their revenue.
They have when like a month ago they announced they lost subscribers for the first time ever. It was like a fucking earthquake in the industry, and it's going to change everything for the next 3 years.
I know, but like that's also because of COVID. I feel like that was like a big boost that they saw that was never going to be permanent as a consequence of COVID. And there's also more competitors in the space.
Yeah.
Like Disney Plus is probably a huge reason for it too, because like they do have pretty strong IP.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean Disney Plus, and I think HBO Max
and HBO,
ranks circles around Netflix. But Netflix's strategy was always to create a monopoly.
Adam ruins his shot at getting a second season on
Look,
Netflix.
If I'm gonna get hired for another series of anything, it's because people know me for doing this shit. So I've made my bed. This is what I do. But yeah, no, Netflix, like their whole strategy was to be a monopoly. Their share price and everything else was based on one day they'll be the only TV network, and now they have a little bit of competition, and the market has realized they're not gonna like dominate the universe, and so now their share price is it's just like Uber. It's undercutting the competition in the hopes of one day like eliminating all of it.
Or Amazon,
Yep. Amazon's the only one that's had any success at it, but it's an incredibly damaging business model either way, because now what's going to happen is Netflix is going to cut back on how many new shows that they make. It's going to be terrible for all of us in the industry. All the other networks are going to cut back as well. So 10 years ago, we had all these cable channels and we had streamers, and people could get work on all different types of places. Now we're going to be stuck with 4, 5, HBO, Apple, Disney. Disney's also owns Hulu, so Hulu's the same thing. Netflix, and that's it. And they're going to be making less shit, paying everybody way less. Their union contracts are dog shit. So they've successfully created a worse world for everybody where they make less money. It's like the monopolistic urge is constant, but it doesn't benefit anyone.
Yeah. I guess like short-term benefits for shareholders, but that's pretty much it. And then they get cucked in the end regardless.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, but what do you have to say to this though?
Okay, to what?
I went to a movie tonight at a theater. What a miracle! It's been maybe 2 years. Free guy, fun, smart, creative. and a perfect archetypical structure. Persona, shadow, anima, self, in that order. Perfect.
I didn't realize who this was tweeting until halfway through. You can see the moment I realized.
Yeah.
Incredible. This guy is the craziest motherfucker I have ever seen. And it's incredible to me that he was like posing himself as like this ultra rational like man of science when
And it's super masculine too.
Yeah, when the form of psychology he does is basically fucking astrology. Like and astrology is fine. I got no problem with astrology, but just like all of his shadow self bullshit is the least. It's literary analysis. He might as well be like a poet. And he's acting like
you're saying he's
that he
sus.
says means it.
Fellas, ladies love astrology. Jordan Peterson's doing the astrology of psychology. I don't know. Pretty feminine to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got him. Freaking got him. Incredible. Have you ever... Wait, okay. What do you have to say? If we're going to talk about Jordan Peterson for a second, hold on. I'm trigger warning. Jordan Peterson.
Get spicy.
Jordan Peterson Maps of Meaning readout coming. Chad already knows what I'm about to show, but you don't. And
I don't. It's new to me.
It's going to fucking blow your mind. This is an actual audiobook of Maps of Meaning. This is a very profoundly important part of Maps of Meaning. Let's take a look at what he has to
grandmother
say.
sitting by the bank of a I dreamed I saw my maternal grandmother sitting by the bank of a swimming pool, which was also a river. Her genital region was exposed dimly. It had the appearance of a thick mat of hair. She was stroking herself absent-mindedly. She walked over to me with a handful of pubic hair compacted into something resembling a large artist's paintbrush. She pushed this at my face. I raised my arm several times to deflect her hand. Finally, unwilling to hurt her or interfere with her any further, I let her have her way. She stroked my face with the brush gently and said, like a child, "Isn't it soft?"
Dude,
I looked at her rude
They put the song in the back.
face and said, "Yes, Grandma, soft."
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And this guy, you told me this guy had a nervous breakdown? This guy lost his mind?
Crazy.
Hard to believe. I mean, like, it's fucking crazy that he... like this guy was ever going after like postmodern Marxism as being when this guy's crazier than Freud. Like he's from the 19th century with this shit. He's just describing a dream.
The last time women were actually free, before birth control made them think that they could be happier pursuing capitalist desires instead of staying at home.
Oh man,
he's right though.
A couple of years ago, I had the unfortune of finding out that we had the same agent. That my touring agent was also his touring agent.
Hell yeah!
And for a moment, I was like, "Man, he's doing some big fucking theaters. Maybe I can." And then I was like, "I got to leave my agent. I can't work with someone who's working with this guy. He's too fucking crazy."
Yeah, I mean that just means your agent is popping off. I would have stayed with him.
I mean,
this dude was like, this was like booking arenas, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, why would you elect to put that in your book? I don't know. And like, do you feel no sense of like guilt, shame, like being a fucking weirdo when you read it out loud for your audiobook?
Unbelievable. Yeah, to like not have a single moment where you step outside yourself and go, did he have an editor? Did anybody read this and go, Jordan, the story about the grandma with the pubic hair, was it?
Kind of weird.
What was your thought including that? I mean, maybe we don't need to include everything in. This also is the book of his that was like a catastrophic failure, right? Like it's like a 1,000-page book. He spent his life's work and it made no impact on anybody anywhere.
I think the funniest is like when like incels who think like he's their god will turn around and be like, he's actually an incredibly well published author. Like he's really good. And it's like, no, the only thing that like popped off in his career is when he basically carbon copied like every self-help book in existence to then tie it back to like an objectivist, conservative worldview.
What's completely crazy is the kind of like bullshit that he does is the part of academia that right wingers fucking hate and try to just make fun of and destroy. Anything that is like somewhat literary or like, it's not even social science. It's just like social fucking blah blah. And that's what, they're like ivory tower academics with their shitty theories. Like, how is this any different from Marxism or anything else?
Well, you don't understand.
On an academic level, like it's why is anybody paying for this to happen? It's very hard to defend.
Well, you don't understand. It's because he's like telling stem cells that they should feel comfortable with their misogynistic attitude towards women because it's society's fault. He's like offering a lot of comfort in the same way that collectivists are offering comfort to you in your own personal failures by telling you you're a victim to the system. And he does that basically for incels, which is like, traditional masculinity is vilified. And like, if we only went back to, if we did a return to tradition, then like you'd be able to get pussy finally.
Yeah, it's a very simple message that he cloaks in a lot of shit that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
A lot of like theory nonsense. But yeah, he's just telling people what they want to hear. And then occasionally freaking out and getting gout or whatever. Like, what the fuck is his
Well,
his health
he
problem?
does a meat-only diet because the real dragon of chaos is his daughter, Michaela Peterson, who, like, sucked him into the grift, like the meat-only grift, and then he got owned by Apple Cider one time. Like, he almost killed him.
Yeah.
That was pretty fire.
Yeah.
And then she actively tried to continue killing him when he got, like, addicted to benzos and then, like, had to do, like, this experimental, like, cold turkey benzo therapy in Russia because they won't offer it in America because it can kill you. And then when that didn't kill him, then she took him to Serbia. And when he was in like recovery from like being put in a comatose situation, then she went to a Serbian hookah bar, got COVID, and then gave it to him in his recovery state. And he's finally like, he's still alive. But now he cries a lot more now, which is really interesting. Like
he's lost his mind. I feel bad for my former agent because the guy was making a lot of money off of him, and now it's, hey Jordan, you want to go do a theater tour again? Too busy crying, too busy getting off pain pills. Like the guy lost it, unfortunately, for him and for his audience, I suppose.
But we went off on like many different tangents here. But like we were talking about the baby formula thing, and I wanted to go back to that briefly. But the baby formula concept is like a perfect example of the public-private partnership that the government routinely engages in, where they outsource it to like shitty profit-seeking private mega corporations that then take advantage of that and engage in regulatory capture and ensure that there are no other competitors in the marketplace. But then like they also deregulate aggressively. And that's how we arrive at these sorts of problems. But if you ask the libertarians, it's actually, that's government regulations stopping the same companies from selling the same baby formula here in America is actually communism. That's what the government's doing. It's communism.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when the government is tricked, strong-armed into safeguarding a monopoly, that's what causes these problems. But it's caused by the companies trying to force that regime on us. Like, it's not... The problem is not that the government is involved. The problem is that the government isn't doing its fucking job and regulating these companies and making sure that there's adequate competition between them, making sure that the food is safe. And the same pattern that is, we see in baby formula is what they're trying to institute across other parts of business, like the meat industry, which we cover on the show. Has been consolidating at a hugely rapid rate. There's only a couple companies now that control the whole thing. And those companies are advocating for less regulation, for less inspectors. On the show, we go to a Cargill meat processing plant. We're the first camera crew to get into one of those places in decades. We go see how USDA inspectors work on the line. They can stop the line at any point when they see, diseased meat go by. And then we find out that these companies and the USDA is putting in a pilot program to have less inspectors, to allow the plants to self-inspect. So not only are they monopolists, they're monopolists that'll be less regulated now.
No, everyone knows it's so much better when the government, or not the government, sorry, when private corporations inspect themselves. I mean, DuPont Chemical is a great example of what happens when that revolving door between the EPA and a chemical processor is basically like this, and those corporate lobbyists for DuPont then turn around and work at the EPA because they're the most knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And they get to dictate what chemicals are actually deadly.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Look,
nothing has ever, that's never turned out to be horrible.
We do a segment on the show about the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service produces like every weather forecast you ever look at. Comes from the National Weather Service. They have like hundreds of weather outposts across the country. No company could do what they do. Every other company, AccuWeather, the Weather Channel, they all rely on the government data. But the CEO of AccuWeather is this guy, Barry Myers, who's been trying to cut the legs out from under the National Weather Service for decades because he wants to have a monopoly on the display of weather information. He wants the government data to just come to him and go to nowhere else. And he tried to get himself appointed to be the head of NOAA, which is the parent agency of the National Weather Service, under Trump. And he was like, I know the most about weather because I'm the AccuWeather guy. He's the guy who's trying to destroy the National Weather Service. And so like that, he was not eventually appointed, but AccuWeather did and continues to have this campaign trying to like destroy the public utility that their entire business is based off of. It's fucking madness. That's what they'll do if you allow them to, and if you don't like have a clear-eyed look at it.
Okay, but you have no answer for this from Brian Cave. He says, we require 10% soy in baby formula. We're making literal soy boys. He's right. It's true. I mean, the fact that we use baby formula way more than other countries also is like, under the same operating principle where like, it's titty milk is free, but baby formula you can make money off of.
Well, look, there's a lot of people who are not able to nurse.
I'm not talking about that.
Yeah. Okay.
I obviously no. There's a necessity for baby formula for plenty of people who are not able to breastfeed because they're working.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, can be addressed through maternity leave. But what do I know? Or because they simply cannot. And it addresses that need certainly. But the amount, like the over reliance on baby formula in America, from what I understand, is also a consequence of doctors choosing to.
Both things
pump
are true,
that out instead.
Right? Like breastfeeding was like disincentivized by our entire country for decades, and part of the reason was to sell more baby formula. That's true.
We famously attacked the World Health
Organization
as well when they came out with a statement about their preference for breastfeeding, and of course America was against that, and they said they stopped that from getting pushed through.
I mean, it's like people couldn't have, and this is what I really try to do in my work, and it's crazy how hard it is. People can try to have a nuanced view of this, that like, yes, breastfeeding is great and we should make it more accessible. Baby formula is also one of the greatest medical advancements of the last 100 years. It saved countless babies' lives, and it should be cheap and accessible to everyone on every level and should not be dangerous. Both of those things are true at once. We don't need to be just for one or the other. We can like understand all of reality in our heads at one time. That's what
have you thought about lead making American babies stronger?
Like lead making American babies stronger?
Like lead contamination in baby formula is actually making the American child to be stronger and like more aggressive, which we need, which is a masculine feature.
You mean more aggressive because their brains are fucked up, so they are like, ugh, that's what you're talking about?
No, that's like...
Being stupid does make you stronger.
You want American babies to be soy boys, whereas I want them to be violent, like all the time. It's super babies. It's like antibiotics, amazing, life-saving, but not everyone should be taking them all the time. Yeah. Babies these days just have microplastics. Lead babies were more robust. Yes, we should substitute microplastics back for lead. I think that's when America was truly popping off.
Incredible.
But yeah, all of these issues combined created the baby formula shortage, and yet I think the fundamental problem, the fundamental misunderstanding of like libertarians, ANCAPs, and like the way that they see the government is that like they can't comprehend the notion of a bourgeois government that is like working at the behest of capital owners, rather than they think that the government is a lifeless, faceless entity that operates under like communist ideology or something, and that's the reason why they engage in regulatory capture.
It's fucking armchair politics, It's like reading books by fucking, long dead German philosophers rather than actually going out and engaging with the real world.
They're not reading fucking like Hayek or some shit. No, they're just like they're at a subreddit.
It's one of the things that pisses me off.
They watch lolly porn and then they become libertarians because that's like the quickest route to.
It's one of the things that pisses me off about internet politics is that people will like pick these positions and read websites and get into arguments on Reddit and never once go to a fucking neighborhood council meeting in their own town to like find out what the politics of their own place are. Like on the show, the whole 6th episode is about local politics, is about like how you actually make change in the government. And we're just pleading with people to like vote in a local election, but more importantly, go to a fucking meeting, like try to like do like the number of people who affect politics where you live is so small. There's probably like a dozen of them. And you could like just start showing up to city council meetings, yell at them. You could go to a meeting for your local political party. You go to a Sunrise Movement meeting and actually just like start working on shit. And none of those people will ever say, I'm an ANCAP or whatever the fuck, because it's meaningless when you're actually doing real politics. Like this stuff is like arguing about like Star Wars, whether you're like a Jedi or a Sith, like it has nothing to do with real world politics.
Okay, but you're basically describing how the Republican Party operates at such an alarmingly effective rate when it comes to changing the outcome of like local elections and
by
like
getting
local
involved
initiatives.
Locally, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And also jumping on misinformation trains. Like one of the things I always have been fascinated by is like how quickly they'll capitalize on, for example, like QAnon, right? Like when the early stages of QAnon, like you would have QAnon rallies, and then you'd have like a local representative show up who's like running for some random fucking local position, and she'd be like, "Yeah, QAnon is great." Like she's at a QAnon rally, and she's talking about school choice. So then they would connect. One insane, conspiracy theory to a tangible piece of like the Republican Party's legislative agenda that goes back to segregation, and segregating schools, which is the most effective way to like bring evangelicals out to vote for Republicans. Like, and they do a really good job of like trafficking their agenda into that is otherwise like very unfavorable and very unpopular agenda into things that have like genuine momentum, like QAnon, unfortunately.
And they show up to the meetings and they like push that shit through. And progressives and leftists like don't do it as much. And that's like sort of what our plea is, to like fucking take control of your city. Like you've got the numbers, you can do it if you start going, and start participating in it. Like can I plug something quick?
You go ahead.
I'm supporting 2 local city council candidates, Eunices Hernandez and Hugo Soto Martinez. I think you've had Hugo on the show.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
And we're doing like a big rally comedy show for them. If you go to my Twitter, it's on there somewhere. It's in a week and a half. It's a comedy show. One of the dudes from Chapo is going to be on it.
Felix?
Chris
or Matt Chris.
Yeah. It's a little further down, I think. A little further down. There it is. Final big campaign event. Rally for LA. Terragram Ballroom. 7 p.m. If you go to that website, I just got to shout out bit.ly/rally4LA, a donation to them. These are both like DSA endorsed, like, running against the police unions. Like Ugo is like a dude from Unite Here, incredibly important, hospitality union. Eunices like helped get Measure J passed in LA, which is like, criminal justice alternatives, right? Less money for cops, more money for other programs. And like they're running for city council, incredibly important like positions here in LA. Like donate $10 to them. It goes incredibly far, but also find, and so please do if you're watching, but also like go find a candidate like that in your town or be that candidate. Cause these are just 2 people, right? Like Ugo literally was like probably, working for a fucking union. And now he's, God willing, going to be our next city council person in CD13. Yeah. So like that's real shit. And like arguing with people on Reddit about like which micro movement you're associated with is like not politics. politics. Politics is showing up and doing this shit. That's just what I want to say to.
Yeah, we're big fans of Ugo here. By the way, I've had him on before. On the stream.
He's an incredible dude.
Yeah, he's
and
dope.
Eunisses, people have been sleeping on. She's running a tougher race, but she is incredible in CD1. Really, really great candidate, inspiring person. So if you're in LA, come out and say hi.
Look, this is my favorite type of person. Like, you're already doing a fundraiser, and I have as well, and I've like had him on the stream, and someone immediately goes, "Can you millionaires not donate to them instead?" You know, there's a max out, right?
I'm fucking maxed to both of these people. All right, it's $800. I would donate again if I can. And when they go to the general, by the way, the max resets, and you can donate again. But like that, there's a max for a reason, so that like people can't abuse the system. Like, this is what we're like. It's about organizing. Like, we shouldn't just donate a ton of money. We're trying to get you involved. That's fucking organizing. That's how you change things. By going from person to person.
No, he's gonna be like, you're selfish for trying to get me to do it. You should do the election fraud like Dinesh D'Souza, which is pretty funny. I think in this country, if you get busted for fucking donating too much or doing like straw donations to a campaign, like, you're a psycho. Like, how do you not have a PAC at that point?
Yeah.
Shouts out to Dinesh D'Souza, one of the dumbest people on the planet.
Was he busted for that?
Yeah, he went to jail for that.
I had no idea. I knew.
Well, no, sorry, he went to jail for being a political enemy of Obama.
Oh,
that's why he went to jail.
I got it. Yeah.
And not for urging his friends to do straw donations to a candidate, a particular candidate who like ended up losing by a lot anyway.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to cheat to organize for a candidate.
Yeah.
You can just email people. I mean, I try to tell people this all the time. The most impactful thing you can do to organize in your community for political shit is just make an email list of as many people as you can, and pay attention to what's going on in the city. And then when something happens, like, email them and say, "Hey, yo, go to this rally," or whatever, or like, do a little like Zoom meeting for a candidate. Like, that kind of thing goes so far because no one else does it. And you'll quickly become the sort of person everyone will reach out to you and go, "Yo, who do I vote for? I know you're the only person who follows this." Like, that's organizing. That's how we get shit done. Okay, I'll get off my fucking video.
Ask him why he hasn't started a PAC to lift up candidates he supports. Dude, I love that. Thank you. No, that's how. No, dude, it's just like when your brain is permanently melted from like liberal capitalist ideas. You are like, dude, I don't understand. Like, why aren't the Chapo guys getting together with Hassan and like doing the socialism PAC? You know what I mean? Because that's how it's gonna work.
Why don't they have a couple gala dinners?
Yeah, like, why don't you just like buy out Nancy Pelosi? Like, she'll be favorable now to fucking setting up workers' councils. Like, I don't understand. That's how it works, right?
No one ever asks, "Hey, why don't you do this?" That person never does the fucking shit themselves.
Yeah.
The people who ask you to do something, who ask me to do something. Like, I have a fucking union meeting after this because I'm on the board of my union where I work with the PAC, and like, that's what I'm doing with the rest of my day. So like, when people say that shit, turn it back around on them is what I say.
Yeah.
I know they weren't directing it at me. I'm sorry. I'm not.
They were
trying to be
directing it at
hostile.
me instead.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
I'm matching your energy towards your own chat.
Why don't you set up a
guy.
PAC? Motherfuckers sit in front of the computer on Twitch stream and criticize people actually doing shit. Yeah, it's never enough. Okay, so, yeah, tell them about the gauntlet. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay. Well, I'll never know what it is now.
Okay. No. I don't want to corrupt your brain. Instead, I'm going to corrupt your brain with Dave Rubin believing that a 4-day work week would crush the human spirit. Let's take a look.
Dave Rubin.
One of my, I used to work with him.
I did know that.
Yeah, at the Young Turks.
Yeah.
Brilliant guy. Really captivating.
Yeah.
Let's see what he has to say.
California, is this the way they're going to go? 4 days a week?
Bill, how am I doing in Florida? Fantastic, because I fled California and that sort of over-regulated nonsense that crushes the economy.
Yeah, dude. California's going to pass a 4-day work week, and then at gunpoint, they're going to stop Dave Rubin from filming. They're going to be like, you have to stop. Your show is too good, but you have to stop. Oh, God.
I just imagine him crying every day in Florida that he was dragged down there as part of this like fucking herd to go be in Ron DeSantis' promised land where there's 100% humidity every day.
Yeah.
And like, Florida's terrible. I'm sorry. Florida's fine. My dad's from there. I spent a lot of time in Florida.
It's terrible. You don't have to lie about it.
Okay.
It's awful.
It's
the first place I ever lived in America, and let me tell you, it's fucking terrible. It's some in the water, some in the weather. Everyone turns into a crypto libertarian.
They have
no matter what.
they have the most beautiful wildlife in the world. They've fucking killed all of it. Like the Everglades are on their last legs. Anyway, listen.
Let's see what happens.
Crushes the human spirit, crushes ingenuity. I took 2 businesses out of California in the last year, and although neither one of my companies had 500 employees, that very concept that the government should come in and tell you how much your people should work, and then if they go...
Oh, no. What will like the 5th largest economy do without Dave Rubin's 2 businesses?
Wait, I'm sorry. A man and his husband in their garage left?
Yeah.
Like with a couple GoPros set up? Is that what happened?
Crazy.
Oh, no.
It's wild. It's wild when we have like an $80 billion surplus and Dave Rubin left, and that took a big dent. That put a big dent in it. People like Dave Rubin who like literally rely on like big donors from the Republican Party and like PragerU to give them money.
Yeah, he's being bankrolled by fucking right-wing think tanks, and he's... Yeah, fine, whatever.
Go past that threshold, you have to pay them more. Well, you know what? Your people may become less productive so they can start adding hours, or you may just realize you can't hire as many people because you suddenly have to pay them more. This is just it's so in line with the endless nonsense that comes out of California, which, by the way, is why several 100,000 people have fled California since the lockdowns, and Florida and Texas and Tennessee are exploding. And
yeah. Except it's not rich people that are fleeing California, except for Dave Rubin, apparently, which I don't even know if he's a rich. He might be rich, but it's actually middle class people fleeing.
Yeah,
because they can't pay for anything because the housing market is completely fucked. And of course, liberals like gruesome Gavin Newsom and the like are not going to do anything about normalizing the housing market in any meaningful capacity to make sure that there's like even more, maybe even upzoning, okay? Doesn't even matter. Like just more allocations for affordable housing units to be constructed. They're not going to do that. So people can't live here anymore. So they escape to cheaper states.
Yeah, I mean the people who are fucking up California are the NIMBY right wingers in every city who won't allow new housing to be built. Like if you go. And I know this because I'm like involved again in local politics, and you will meet the weirdest people you will ever meet who do not fit the political categories you think exist. You will meet right-wing Biden Democrats who like they voted for Joe Biden and they hate Trump, but they're right-wingers. They hate people of color and they don't want any new apartments built because they hate poor people, and they have so much power and they will scream and yell. And you'll have shit where like literally, I know about this happening in Burbank recently. The state passed a law that said that certain buildings, the cities could not stop them from being built if they had enough affordable housing. So they're trying to build, this developer wants to knock down an old bowling alley nobody uses and build like 200 units of housing with like 10% affordable housing. Should be more, but hey, that's pretty good. We need at least that much built. City of Burbank got so much shit from right-wing people in Burbank that they voted down the housing development, and now the developer is suing the city because it's actually illegal for them to stop it. But like it's like literally these right-wing Biden Democrats who NIMBYs reactionaries who don't want housing built, and that's the fucking side Dave Rubin would be on if he was still in California. That's why housing prices are so high, is because we can't new housing starts are at an all-time low and the population is higher than ever. So Dave Rubin is such a sad case because, he used to be a stand-up comic, as I am, and stand-up comics.
Okay, you're being a little ridiculous calling him a stand-up comic.
Have
you ever seen? But
I know he was terrible, but he was a comic. And stand-up comics in general, there's a huge trend right now of right-wing comedy drives stand-up comics crazy because these comics do terrible material. They all just do like fucking pro-Trump jokes. They pander to the audience so bad. It's not funny. And people complain about all these dudes. No one complains about Dave Rubin. I've never heard a comic say once, "Oh, Dave Rubin, yeah, sad case. That guy used to be a good comic," because he was terrible.
I don't think people know him as a comedian. That's the reason why. Like, I doubt comedians are like thinking about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the sad thing is nobody thinks about him.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of, ever since his fucking cash cow almost died like multiple times, his career has been on a downtrend. As he like ups the ante and tries to be like, I'm the gay guy, but I'm the Republican, and you can be homophobic to me. Like that's kind of his like shtick. Speaking of comedians, though, I want to talk about a particular stool fucker whose show you were on, and I used to be a big fan of Joe Rogan. I still watch a lot of his. I still watch a lot of his videos, but I wanted to talk to you specifically about being on Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan experience, and like what you got out of that, because the number one issue, one of the unchangeable issues that Joe Rogan won't budge on is, other than like legalization of marijuana or whatever, is trans athletes, and I feel like it's really just. I think it has had a lasting impact on the way that people cover the story. Yeah. It's like a super adequate, super powerful way to traffic transphobic ideas. Not that people needed that anyway, because like you could just be as transphobic as you want, and people will still give you like hundreds of millions of dollars. Shouts out to Dave Chappelle. So I wanted to get feedback on your experience there. Having a conversation with Joe Rogan specifically around the trans stuff. And the backlash that you received as a consequence of that. And then we'll go into Bill Maher's new, brave, bold, thought-provoking, transphobic bit.
Look, I mean, this was like 3 years ago. He sprung that topic of conversation on me. It was not something that, like, I think I should be the representative of to talk about. Because I was there, I was like, all right, I mean, I'll go to bat for what I think is right here as best I can. But, when the dude is like locked and loaded with like, Jamie pull that up shit of whatever pseudoscience he wants to bring up, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the best position to be in. And, honestly, in retrospect, like, you ever seen the clip of Bill Burr on Rogan where Bill Burr goes, Rogan is like...
talking about masks?
Talking about masks and vaccines. And
Burr's like,
what the fuck are you doing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the better move. In retrospect, I should have done that. But I was also like, I didn't know we'd be talking about this. You know what I mean?
When I do that, people get mad at me sometimes. Like, there's a lot of like debate lords that are on the internet that are like sock dem or like liberals, and they get like really upset whenever I have that conversation exactly on those terms, where I'm like, why do you fucking care about this? Like, can you tell me who the second place, cis loser was that lost to the trans person in this like random fucking regional swim meet? Like, no, you can't, because you don't give a fuck about it. You're just saying it because a trans person happened to win this one time, and they will probably get subsequently owned over and over again throughout their career, and you're never gonna think about that ever again. We're not gonna watch this whole thing. I'm just this is just B-roll in the background, and people get mad at me, but like that's the normal position. I think that the normal position is just like, you don't care about this. You're only acting like you care about this and making it seem like you care about the integrity of the sport somehow being compromised by trans people, like the 3 trans people that are like participating in it. And that's the unfortunate reality, is that like it dominates discourse.
The people who like create this issue have never been to a women's sporting event in their life. Like they don't give a shit about it. And so like they have generated like a false issue, Now look, when you're talking about whatever the swimmer is at Harvard, right? Am I right? Whatever. Like, and you're talking about like literally the people who are on the same team in that individual competition. Like, that's for the people in that community to figure out. It's fucking children's sports. Like, we can surely find an accommodation here that is going to like allow everyone to participate in sports and do whatever the fuck else you wanted to do. It's the inflation of it into a culture war issue that is ludicrous.
But what was the feedback? Like, you got a lot of backlash, right? Like, I mean, people are like they get really fucking agitated.
Oh yeah,
about this issue. Like, they make this out to be the most important, most significant thing. To like dunk on.
His fans came after me for a couple months after this. It was again a conversation that I did not go in intending to have. But it was just like beta cuck, just like you know, the very basic stuff. No one's actually like advancing an argument of any kind. No one actually cares about the issue at all. And I'll point out, like, I say to him multiple times, hey, you should talk to like an expert about this. You should talk to like somebody who knows what they're talking about. Like, I'm not sure why we're having this conversation, but it's because, he felt like using me as a punching bag in that moment,
The only experts he'll talk to about this are going to be experts that are not an actual expert in the field, and usually like random fucking evolutionary psychologists or whatever. Who got fired for saying the N-word over and over again or some shit from some like random liberal arts college that now have like a podcast that almost exclusively relies on being on Joe Rogan to stay afloat.
Here's the most disappointing thing to me about this interview was I was excited to do this interview because at the time Joe was not so directly associated with like the far right. Like he hadn't totally made that turn yet. He was saying shit like this, but I was like, okay, the guy's a comic, I'm a comic. We should be able to like, you know, do some have some galaxy brain fun together, you know? And so he starts talking about this shit and I try to get him to like look at it with a bigger picture and say like, hey man, like sports are fucking social constructions. We made them up. And so we invented yes, there are differences between male and female biological, you know, born, whatever, assigned at birth male, assigned at birth female bodies. We designed sports such that the most popular ones are like designed for a male body. What if we didn't do that? Right? What if like, okay, like women's gymnastics, like men can't do that shit, right? Because there's et cetera. What if we invented fucking sports that we did not have a problem with this with, right? Because sports is just a fun thing to do. Sports are something that everyone should be able to participate in. So what if we invented some fucking less gendered sports? He was not willing to entertain that conversation. He was like, I was like, is this not interesting? And he wouldn't go there with me. So that's my biggest bummer about it was like, he was not really into the idea of having like an honest, he turned it immediately into a boxing match and I wanted to have a conversation. So all the backlash was like, oh, Rogan owned you. He won a debate against you. I was like, I thought I was having a conversation. Like I thought I went on to just like talk about my show and like spitball shit because we're fucking comics. And he turned it into a fist fight, which that's what I don't like about it.
Well, women could have made them, but they didn't. Yeah, because they're too busy. Yeah. Not because of like the patriarchy or anything, but because like they're too busy in the kitchen loving making sandwiches to me as my braless wife. That's why. But no, it's just yeah, no, the reason why I said that is because like if you even support trans rights in any visible capacity on the internet, people will eat your ass in the fucking QRTs nonstop and tell you you're a cuck or a soy boy or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is always really funny when they say that to me because I'm like, come on, dude.
It sucks.
I mean, what do you look like?
it really sucks because, you know, when you get that amount of hate, it does make you think twice as like a public figure, right? Like I don't want people to hate on me. And then you have to go, hold on a second. This is like fucking gay rights in 1995, you know, like we need to fucking go to bat for this. Or like you're going to be on the wrong side of history, you know? And so what I do appreciate is that years later, people still come up to me and say, hey, thank you for like going to bat in that interview. You did the best you could. I'm like, thank you. I'm glad that, you know, that came through to some folks. But yeah, I mean, it's
how is this similar to gay rights? It's a targeted minority that's marginalized and being like the exact same arguments used towards gay people are now being used towards trans people. Gay people can't be in the locker room with other men because, like, they'll get too horny.
And by the way, those arguments are now being leveled against gay people again.
Yeah.
Like, we're back there. We're fucking rolling back civil rights as we speak across the country. Turns out that's turned out to be a very powerful organizing weapon for the right.
I just always find it funny that Joe Rogan is a #1 advocate, and I used to be a huge fan of his. Like I've watched him, I've hung out with him before as well, like many years back. But I watched him for many years. He has always been a gigantic advocate of gender affirming surgery, as he is the #1, probably the most public, most vocal advocate of TRT, which is a form of hormone therapy that's gender affirming. He himself has done TRT throughout the years, maybe even HGH, and yet he turns around and is like, "Yeah, trans women, you know, you can't do that."
I mean, it's the craziest thing is the reason we started talking about trans athletes was I brought up the case of Caster Semenya. Do you know Caster Semenya?
Yes, the cis. Yeah, the cis woman who was barred from competing because her testosterone levels were too high.
Yeah, and like that's bullshit discrimination against a woman, against a black woman. She's like now barred from racing because the other racers said that it was unfair to compete against her. She's had no hormone replacement therapy of any kind. And Joe was like, yeah, that's bullshit. What do you think about trans athletes? And I was like, Well, I mean, for the same reason, like, I don't think they should be excluded from sports, and that set him off. Which is like, I don't understand how you can understand why to be on the right side of one and the wrong side of the other. Personally, apart from fucking prejudice. Like,
Yeah, no,
what else is it? Like, it's all an argument for prejudice.
People that have natural advantages, like Michael Phelps, or even like LeBron James, you know what I mean? Like, people that have natural advantages beyond everything else is like, it's still, that's fine, that's cool, that's actually celebrated, but anything else outside of that is unacceptable. I've talked about I made a comparison to Messi before. Like, Messi had a genetic disability that he overcame by getting HGH and like numerous forms of hormone therapy, and he's one of the best athletes of all time. It's seen as like a story of overcoming like great struggle, right? Great marginalization, and when a trans athlete is like even remotely successful, they're like, no, that's cheating.
Yeah. And like the thing that I've only come to realize recently, talking to my friend River Butcher, who's a really funny comic, trans man, really great person, explained this to me, that like women's sports leagues were created in order to ghettoize and subjugate women. That like there used to be a lot of cases in like the dawn of organized sports where you'd have women who were competitive with male athletes at baseball, sports like that. And like men would freak out, and then they banned women from the sports around the same time that they were fucking banning black people from sports. And so they created a second tier sports system to keep women out of sports. And they, again, created the sports in such a way that they benefited male bodies on average rather than female bodies on average. So when you're saying like, oh, we need to defend women's sports against trans athletes, you're saying we need to defend like a fucking caste system in sports, a tiered system that is subjugating women. What we should be doing is saying the entire system of male versus female sports is fucking prejudiced, and we should demolish the whole thing and come up with a system of sports that everybody can participate in, because sports are just a fucking part of life.
People will say that that's like discriminatory towards women, though, because then it's like, because all men will always dominate. That co-ed sport,
They
because
won't
like
if you
because of
develop
the
sports.
averages, because of like I get it. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Again, just using it as an example, women's gymnastics, right, is better than men's gymnastics, like as a sport. Like nobody gives a shit about men's gymnastics. Everyone knows that women's gymnastics is better. And like, it's not hard to, like, how would you take soccer, right? How would you adjust the rules of soccer very slightly in order to make it, build more gender parity into soccer? You could fucking do it. We made the sports up.
I know, but there's so much, like, there's so much tradition that people will refuse to do that. They'll say you're trying to game the system in a way that like it's worse, the outcomes are worse overall, because like co-ed automatically means worse, because as it stands currently, co-ed is worse, because these are sports, as you correctly pointed out, that have been tailored towards like the male physique and like more testosterone focused endeavors.
But all we need to do is like show people the counterexample. Like, yes, the tradition is there, it's long-standing, it's going to be a long time to fight for, but like, so is gay marriage, so is everything else, and we need to like show and normalize in order to get out of this trap, because sports as it is now is a trap that is like designed to subjugate women and trans people. Like, just, it's like a fucking honeypot for bullshit arguments. And so we need to stop trying to go like, how will we adjust the NBA or whatever, or like the WNBA to account for trans athletes, and start saying, what are the models that would like actually result in an equitable sports system overall, and like demonstrate it to people. I think a really good example, honestly, is fucking wrestling. Like pro wrestling is like, they now have like really healthy women's divisions, and they don't seem that far away from just like, let's just fucking let the men and women wrestle each other. It's all theater anyway. Let's just do it. It'll be great, And
well, I mean, but that is theater, though. I mean, there's like a profound amount of physicality, like physical excellence required, but it is like still literally wrestling. Whereas sports in the way that it currently works is supposed to like bring out the best in a particular subject. But that's part of the reason why I don't have a problem with trans athletes, is that like they're already overcoming a profound amount of struggle by you know coming out as trans, and then also they're working against their hormones that like simultaneously are you know, quite literally shrinking their muscle mass.
What's bizarre is that when a cis athlete goes through any sort of adversity, like you say, they're like lauded. Like fucking Lance Armstrong's missing a ball, and people are like, "Wow, incredible!" But you know, when a different athlete has, you know, their own challenges, they're always told it's an advantage. Like the fucking, what's the name of Oscar Pistorius, the guy who eventually shot his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Before that, you know, he's the guy with I believe no legs below the knee, and he had the spring things, and people were ludicrously saying that gave him an advantage when the result. The guy has springs for legs. He doesn't have muscles. Muscles like are an anti-entropic system. You know, you energy comes out of them and makes you go faster. He was using springs, which lose energy with every bounce. It's like literally, as a matter of thermodynamics, not an advantage. But people were saying that this guy shouldn't be allowed to race. And guess what? They did let him race, and he never got close to winning. And it was, you know, and then unfortunately he shot his girlfriend, which is he murdered her, which is a different part of the story.
Unrelated to the topic at hand.
Like it's crazy how sports are such a fucking hegemonic like force that as soon as you try to be slightly outside of the mainstream, you're ejected, you're told you have an advantage. And like we should be seeing all these examples, castrosomania, trans athletes, as like part of the same struggle for like inclusion in sports. And we also need to ask ourselves, what's more important to us? Like having some sort of objective thing of like who won, or including everybody in society in this fundamental part of human activity. And I think it's the latter. I don't really give a shit. Like I want to see who wins for fun. It's not like important on a cosmic level that like the best person win. It's important on a cosmic level that we include everybody who wants to participate. And like, so what is your value at the end of the day?
I agree, but I also don't really give a shit about sports. So everyone will literally be like, dude, fuck off. You don't care about sports. Like you're. So I do see the other side's argument in that situation where they're like, you're ruining something that is like near and dear to me and important to me.
But why?
But it's made up. It's made up to begin with. But you know, it's that area is one that I personally believe is like impossible to change. Other than just like allowing trans women to compete with cis women, like I don't give a fuck. I think that's ridiculous to like hyper focus on trans women.
Look, yes, it's gonna be very difficult to reform sports. At the very least, we can stop getting sucked into this bullshit trap of an argument about like, oh, what division should they be in? We should be able to point out that like the entire division is built to like exclude and subjugate people, and that's what we should be working to end.
Yeah.
Go follow River Butcher on Twitter and buy his albums. He's a really great stand-up comic, who I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. There was another thing I wanted to show you. We looked at Dave Rubin. We looked at Baby Formula. We looked at what else was I going to talk about? There was another thing. God damn it. Oh, Bill Maher.
Speaking of Bill Maher.
Speaking of transphobia, our brave, beautiful liberal savior finally came out with a take. This was like, I mean, liberals, for the most part, at least like fake caring about social issues, usually like the classic, I'm socially progressive, but I'm fiscally, Republican, fiscally conservative.
It's flipped now. Like now dudes like this. I mean, he's a social conservative.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
I mean, but he's also, I don't think he's fiscally progressive. I think very few people at this, at his level of wealth are actually progressive and are saying stuff like, let's tax me more.
And finally, new rule: if something about the human race is changing at a previously unprecedented rate, we have to at least discuss it. Broken down over time, the LGBT population of America seems to be roughly doubling every generation, according to a recent Gallup.
Fucking terrifying. We need to stop that. Wow, that's really fucked up, dude.
Yeah, I mean, even this framing is designed to frighten people.
Yeah, no, I mean, if everyone becomes LGBT, no one's going to fuck him at sex parties that he goes to. You know what I mean? No one's going to fuck him at the sanctum parties. So, you know.
Poll. Less than 1% of Americans born before 1946, that's Joe Biden's generation,
gender,
identify that way. 2.6% of boomers do. 4.2% of Gen X, 10.5% of millennials, and 20.8% of Gen Z. Which means if we follow this trajectory, we will all be gay in 2054.
See, there's a rule as a comic: if your audience is applauding that much, you've made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, he is just like he's looking for people to agree with him, not necessarily
Can I tell you something? I've been on Bill
awesome.
Maher. I had a good time on the show.
Uh-huh.
And Bill Maher really does have a redeeming feature, which is that he then invites his panel to beat the shit out of him rhetorically. And very few other people on TV do that. I did an episode, I forget what the topic was, but me and the other two guests were like, Bill, what the fuck are you talking about? For like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that about him. And I also think he's a really good marker of like what boomers think. You know what I mean? Like but yeah, I have not watched this whole segment.
It's just crazy that like I mean, he's just like showing this graph, and there is like one fundamental difference here is that and the fundamental difference actually reveals itself in the graph as well, which is self-identification of LGBTQ. This is not a graph of the actual number of members who are in the LGBTQ community, but instead people who are out and self-identify as members of the LGBTQ
Does he
community.
point out that distinction?
I don't know, but that's the reason why I wanted to show this really quickly. It's not like there's way more left-handed Americans now. It's just that it's no longer forced upon the population.
Incredible pull from you.
Yeah.
Did that just come out of your head? That was
I did.
Incredible that you.
Thank you, Spastic Hawk 27 for the 5 good subs. Oh, another incredible pull is when I run the top of the hour ad break 30 minutes in because I forgot to run it earlier. If you no longer want to see those ads, you can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, as long as you have an Amazon Prime account connected to your Twitch account. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. Not the automated clap. Is that automated? No shot. There's a live audience, right?
What?
There's a live audience on the
to
Bill
that
Maher.
show? Yeah, he's got a live audience. No, and that was absolutely a live audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when his audience came back. Obviously,
And then who's going to buy this chair? I'm just saying that when things change this much, this fast, people are allowed to ask, what's up with that?
Dude, come on, dude. Again, just going to point this out one more time. People need to stop with this left-handed writing stuff. You know what I mean? Is it satanic?
If you were sitting there in 1940, we're allowed to ask, where are all these left-handed people coming from?
Yeah.
Why is the left-handed agenda coming for me? Why are they trying to suppress what I have to say?
They're trying to eliminate right-handed people. It's fucked up.
All the babies are in the wrong bodies? Was there a mix-up?
Come on, dude. You can't be asking rhetorical questions that are this fucking stupid. Also, I thought he had a liberal audience. Like, liberals don't comprehend this, like, basic fact that, like, people are more comfortable coming out now because you're not, like, immediately hate crimed.
I mean, again, this is why I say this is gay rights in 1995. Like, people do not understand, like, liberals do not understand this issue yet, unfortunately. At least not liberals of Bill's age.
Aisha Esquire, thank you for the 5 get the subs.
But the plant, like with Captain Crunch's Oops All Berries?
It's a pretty good joke. I didn't like the premise. The conclusion was like, I like
it
the
wasn't
reference.
that long ago when adults asked a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? They meant what profession?
Fucking got him, dude.
See,
so
this
good.
Is what happens on Bill Maher is sometimes you have to hear him say that shit, and then you gotta go, oh, the camera's going to be on me. I got to react to that.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Donna Brazile. Well, she made her bed.
It's wild that fucking HBO has John Oliver on the one side and then Bill Maher on the other. It is, I guess they're covering the spectrum.
In the wake of America about to lose abortion rights, the ACLU recently tweeted a list of those who would be disproportionately harmed by this. You would think women might top that list? No, wasn't even on the list. Second on the list was LGBT. Really? Abortion rights affects gay and trans people more than, breeders?
What was the actual list? I need to know
what
No. There is like okay, so there's a tendency for like liberals to do overcorrective conversations, like overcorrective language usage. Like liberals love aesthetics; they love sanitizing language as though that's going to fundamentally change the way that like our structures routinely oppress marginalized people like trans people.
Yeah.
So then they'll turn around and fucking be like. They'll Latinx example, or they turn around and say like birthing person, you know what I mean? And it's like, I think personally, one, I think that's ineffective, and two, I think that it like it dehumanizes people, like it's dehumanizing language.
Yeah.
Or
I agree with
Wimixin
you.
was another one, Latinx. Or Wimixin was another one where they like put an X in the women, which was like ironically transphobic because it was like otherizing trans women for no reason.
Yeah, there's a thing liberals will do. I've heard people say this where I was in a meeting and it said someone was like, this issue is really important to women. I'm sorry, women or people who identify as women. And it's like that's actually otherizing of trans people.
Just say women,
Just say
dude.
women. Like if you are speaking in a context where you want to be specifically,
notice how he, by the way,
inclusive,
notice
then
how
use
that,
the language,
notice
but-
how this piece of shit like fucking totally avoided saying black, indigenous, and other people of color. Abortion bans disproportionately harm black, indigenous, and other people of color. He jumped that and just immediately went to the LGBTQ community. Immigrants, young people, those who work in the make ends meet, people with disabilities, protecting abortion access, an urgent matter of racial and economic justice. First of all, this is a correct take. I don't know why he thinks like, does he think that like members of the LGBTQ community like don't have sex or get pregnant or something? Like what the fuck?
Or don't include women. I mean,
is that just like there are no women in the LGBTQ community? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Also, they're just saying that like it disproportionately targets them because they're already marginalized. So that's weird. Okay. Bi people can't have kids. Yeah.
I'm happy for LGBT folks that we now live in an age where they can live their authentic lives openly. And we should always be mindful.
I don't think he's happy. If he was, he wouldn't have cut a 9-minute video shitting on like LGBT people existing and being like, why are there so many LGBT people, huh?
I'm happy, but I want to ask questions.
Yeah.
Of respecting and protecting. But someone needs to say it. Not everything's about you.
Who is making it about themselves in that?
Okay. Again, this is a consequence of not having like an intersectional feminist perspective on the matter, and it says more about Bill Maher's attitude on the subject than anything else. But like, that's not a real thing. Like, there's no like. Most trans people don't even fucking rush to correct people when they say like women when they're talking about pregnancy, because like the percentage of trans people that are non-binary or the percentage of trans people that are AFAB trans men that are giving birth or trying to give birth is still marginal across the board, and you can still include them in your language, obviously. But I've never, like, I talk about these issues all the time, and I've never heard a single trans person be like, no, actually, fuck you. Like, you have to say birthing person or whatever the fuck. Because they understand, like, it's like academics that are trying to sanitize language because they have no power, and they personally recognize that, like, there's nothing you can do about genuine structural change, so they're just fucking literally... some people are just like pointing out cultural things that they think that they can change.
Yeah, I mean, the whole language, it's why, look, I'll use whatever language I want to make the person I'm speaking to feel respected. So I'm speaking to that person with respect. But, when we start our political arguments with, we need to change language, when we make that our focus, it just pulls us into bullshit arguments because it ends up being all that the argument is about rather than about anything substantial. The amount of time that was wasted on Latinx over the last 5 years. I'm like, look, if I'm speaking to an audience that includes non-binary Latinx folks, that's a great word for me to use. We don't need to have op-eds about it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, this is not something that... Anyway, sorry. Go on.
I mean, I don't use it unless someone's like, I'm non-binary or it's Latinx or whatever. For the most part, like, it's just... I think it's like such a... I know it's like led by some Latinx non-binary folk, and like part of it is because like you know, the Latino community also has the same level, if not more, transphobia. So of course they are not going to be in support of it as well. But like ultimately, I don't want to come across like a fucking out of touch white dude by saying Latinx, because I am a white guy, and when 90% of this community does not see themselves as or does not use that recognition. It's not a signifier they recognize, and I'm not.
Language is situational, right? So if you make the claim, hey, we all must stop using this word and must start using that word, then you're just inviting someone to go, not in that situation, and now you're having a bullshit argument with an asshole. So just like use language yourself, try to encourage other people to use it respectfully, and then work on issues that like actually affect people.
Yeah.
You know?
For the record, people don't realize this, but they're making like Turk-X jokes, but like Turkish is a gender neutral language. There's no gender pronouns in Turkish. So, there are languages that don't have any gender whatsoever in them. So that's why that was part of like the difficulty for me when I was learning English. It was like constantly trying to make sure that I had like the proper gender, and I still misgender people all the time on accident, not on purpose. Like when I'm talking about cis people, like not talking about trans people at all. Like I'm saying like I literally fuck up misgendering people because I don't think about it, and because I have no accent, people are like, what the fuck, you just said him. That's why I always use them. I always try to like say, I always will do like a them. You know what I mean? Then you can't catch me slipping. Like them. Like, did I say him? Did I say her? Did I say them? You don't know. I use
yeah, fuck them.
Yeah,
there you go. That's
exactly.
Fuck them is gender neutral.
Exactly. I think you misgender this person at least once per podcast. Yeah, I mean, it's like for me, it's like W's and V's are really hard to pronounce correctly in a word where it has W's and V's because we don't have W in Turkish. So these are things I have to learn and constantly reinforce when I'm speaking. But it's whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're digressing. We're moving away from the main point, which is like so fucking stupid. But like LGBT people did not make this conversation about them at all. And they're not doing that. And Bill Maher is actually literally using yet another important issue to just shit on fucking trans people for no reason. Like, nobody asked for this.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask questions about something that's very new and involves children. The answer can't always be that anyone from a marginalized community is automatically right, trump card, mic drop, end of discussion. Because we're literally experimenting on children. Maybe that's why Sweden and Finland have stopped
who's this
giving
argument with?
puberty
There's so many
blockers to kids.
presumptions in this that he has
Sweden
not
to end the
unpacked.
practice of prescribing puberty blockers to minors. Finns turn against puberty blockers. Yo, homie's literally putting up National Review articles, by the way. What the fuck? Oh, Jesus. He said puberty blockers are experimenting on children. Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we just don't know much about the long-term effects. Although common sense should tell you that when you reverse the course of raging hormones, there's going to be problems.
The scientists don't know much, but here's what I think as a talk show host. You know,
I love the idea that like scientists have not thought about this, and that like puberty blockers as like a treatment, like an early treatment, is totally just like given willy-nilly, like randomly. Like there aren't already almost too many fucking hurdles that people need to go through, aside from having to deal with the endless sea of transphobia. Like and actually, I'm going to refer to the National Review instead when I talk about puberty blockers.
And that's the London Times, right? The conservative London Times.
Yeah, and anything out of England is going to be incredibly reactionary on this on this matter.
I mean, what this argument is against, like, consensus medical practice by like the entire medical community that actually works with these kids. And like the shame is that like what I try to figure out as like someone who actually does media is how do you get folks like Bill to actually talk to a subject matter expert on the subject? Like he does not speak to one, I assume, on this segment, and I'm not sure if he ever has. And like that's what I was pleading with Joe to do, was to speak to an actual subject matter expert. And like it's such a bummer that misinformation gets spread this way, and in the guise of just asking questions. Like it's a bummer to me.
Wait, someone said Sweden actually didn't stop using them. The largest hospital did. Let's see. And then Finland isn't valid because they still do forced sterilization on trans people who want to change legal gender. What the fuck? Oh, so it was just one hospital in Sweden that is stops prescribing puberty blockers for under 16, cites cruel Curabell ruling. A children's hospital in Sweden has stopped prescribing puberty blockers to trans under 16s with gender dysphoria, citing the Curabell ruling. Okay, ruling by the High Court of England and Wales for establishing overarching problems associated with puberty blocking treatment. Oh, God. It's like, it's awful. You should never let England guide any decision that you're making, honestly. They have a horrible track record on everything.
But this is also the constant thing of like cherry picking a little piece of one event and holding it up as like part of a trend, which is what always happens with this topic specifically. Like, people communicating about this in the media just like never fucking tell the whole. They always post the headline and never the article.
The court ruled that it was doubtful that 14 and 15-year-olds would be able to comprehend the long-term risks and consequences of the treatment, and highly unlikely for 13-year-olds to do the same. No, that's why. Yeah, we shouldn't do any medical treatment to 13-year-olds. Actually, by that logic, I mean, they can't comprehend it. What if chemo fucks them up permanently? You know what I mean? You don't know the permanent consequences of having chemotherapy as a acceptable cancer treatment. Fuck children with cancer. That's what I've decided. That's great. Also, no therapist or any like medical professional obviously is monitoring this situation.
In this country, we fucking give amphetamines to 6-year-olds and we cut off pieces of people's penises when they're born. Like,
shouts out! I'm an anti-activist as well, brother. That's right.
So what is the what is the fucking moral panic about this particular issue? Where are those people in all those other cases?
From what I understand, the long-term consequences of like, gender or hormone blockers given to like 13, 14-year-old trans kids is literally just only positive. Like, that's the long-term consequences of it. Because it's like, one, it's reversible.
Yeah.
And two, and they're like trying to literally point to anything they can to be like, well, maybe the bones aren't growing as much. You don't know that. But like ultimately, it is incredibly positive because, whether we like to admit it or not, I mean, passing is still, and I'm not being like a trans medicalist or anything, but like passing is important for literally safety in many instances in an otherwise incredibly transphobic society. It's certainly it plays a functional role in like acceptance. It's not the end all be all of like trans existence. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying at all. But that is one way that like passing is one way that happens, and this is like
there's lots of other benefits beyond just physical appearance, right? To having gender affirming puberty blockers, beyond just like, oh, you might pass. It's like I assume reduced dysphoria and issues like that, right? I mean, I shouldn't speak because I don't. It's again, I'm not a subject matter expert, nor do I have lived experience in the matter, but like, easier for me to argue against.
It's also less dysphoria, not having to get surgeries later on. I encourage every trans person to learn how to throw hands because passing is temporal, capoeira is forever. Okay, that's a good one. The biggest side effect of puberty blockers is surviving. Exactly. Like, it is weird. Pubertal blockers for transgender and gender diverse youth is like widely positive, broadly covered. People see it as like an ultimate like overall W, and I think that's what fucking freaks people out. Honestly, it's like less suicidal ideation, the higher likelihood of unfortunately like having immediate family members and other people like be accepting, and that is I think that's what triggers people is just like they don't want that.
They don't want these folks to live and thrive. Like that's contrary to their political project.
The appeal court overturns the UK puberty blockers ruling for under 16s. Oh, the Tavistock and Portman NHS Foundation Trust wins challenge over case brought by Curabell last year. Oh, so they actually did overturn this. Well, I guess Sweden didn't get the memo, and they recently, this is immediately after. They overturned it like literally, they overturned it like months later.
Bizarre.
But Sweden still went with it. That's kind of wild. Anyway, obviously, like different countries have different methods of dealing with this, and there's like varying degrees of transphobia or like mistreatment from different countries. Using that as a baseline or like inappropriately using that as an argument is really fucked up.
Yeah.
But Bill Maher is, he's just trying to get more trans people to commit suicide, I guess. Very nice guy. Very, very cool dude.
Aging hormones, there's going to be problems. We do know it hinders the development of bone density, which is kind of important if you like having a skeleton. Fertility and the ability to have an orgasm seem also to be affected. This isn't just a lifestyle decision, it's medical. Weighing trade-offs is not bigotry. Yet when a book questioning the sudden uptick in transitioning children was released, a trans lawyer with the ACLU named Chase Strangio tweeted, "Stopping the circulation of this book and these ideas is 100% a hill I will die on." How very civil liberties of him. Chase, by the way, has just been named one of the grand marshals of this year's New York City Pride March, along with 3 other trans people.
So what's up? Is he trying to get like people to lynch this guy, or what's happening?
It seems
this is like a wildly inappropriate, fucking thing to cut.
Yeah,
man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this book, but I assume it's fucking dog shit. If we're being honest,
this is this. I mean, look at the title.
Yeah.
You can see exactly what it is. I've not read it, but I've read enough about it. It's fucking Quillette level postulating that is it's a book that's designed to cause people to react against it and then to play victim about people protesting against it.
Wait, the 2020 book by Abigail Schreier, published by Regnery Publishing, book endorses the contentious concept of rapid onset gender dysphoria, which is not recognized as a medical diagnosis by any major professional institution and is not backed by credible scientific evidence.
Yeah, this is the idea that like rapid onset gender dysphoria is the idea of like gender dysphoria as like kind of a mass hysteria.
Yeah, no. This is like transgenders. That's what she's saying is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, great stuff. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking TERFs, dude. They are so insane.
Mm-hmm. Just the language there, seducing our daughters should be like a tell. This is fucking the this is reefer madness. It's that kind of moral panic designed to like frighten old conservative adults and. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not that young anymore, but when I grew up, like, we knew that titles like that were bullshit, It was, like, it caused our bullshit detectors to go off, and I'm kind of surprised that, like, people don't fucking get it, the transgender craze, seducing our daughters.
Schreier says that there was a sudden severe spike in transgender identification among adolescent girls in the 2010s, referring to teenagers assigned female at birth. She attributes this to social contagion among high anxiety, depressive, mostly white girls who in previous decades fell prey to anorexia and bulimia or multiple personality disorder, which is, of course, far more preferable. Which, by the way, famously, anorexia, bulimia, and multiple personality disorder no longer exists in young white girls. Because that's what happened. Obviously,
this is the same as Bill's argument of like, why is everyone coming out now? Like, hold on a second. Like,
Schreier also criticizes gender-affirming psychiatric support, hormone replacement therapy, and sex reassignment surgery, together often referred to as gender-affirming care, as a treatment of gender dysphoria in young people. Interesting. Heavy use of anecdotes, other problems with the evidentiary basis, obviously. That's great. There are also more left-handed people now than there were 100 years ago, Bill. I know, I already did that dunk, boys. I already did that slam dunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool stuff. Oh God. Okay, there it is. Okay, I understand what's going on here now. God damn, dude. It's purely anecdotal and scare shit. It's so fucking. People are so. Yeah, the TERF energy radiating from every orifice on that photo.
Look, it's also like it's not again great strategy to like go after like a book shouldn't be published, right? Like the argument should be one on its merits. Like this book is harmful, A, but like B, let's not hand these people a fucking dunk by, you know what I mean?
They're too scared. They're too scared to publish these truths is what they're going to go with. They're literally doing that already.
That argument is really powerful. So if you know that you're going to get that argument in response, like don't hand them the fucking, don't pass the ball to them so they can dunk it.
It's just always funny to claim this, by the way, the irreversible damage, like people are doing this as a trend. It's the exact same thing as like you're being in the 90s, people saying you're gay for attention. You're faking being gay for attention. And it's like, I don't know. Do you want to put a dick in your mouth? Like, is that something that you're constantly thinking about? Like, is it that easy to switch? If that's the case, maybe you should try it. Like, maybe you'll like it a lot. There's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so stupid. It's a bit of a self-report in some respects, I think, because like, you know, I'm very open about my sexuality. I'm a cishet breeder, and and like I've not. You know, I haven't even ruled it out, like, but I have not ever been like, damn, I want to kiss this dude. You know what I mean? Like, I've never had that inclination. So I don't understand why so many of these, like, insecure people constantly fucking make it seem like, no, there's, chat, don't think that this is an invitation immediately. My largely LGBT community is like, oh, we have a chance. Like, chill the fuck out. Okay? But it is so ridiculous that people who are super insecure will turn around and be like, oh well, you know, you're maybe doing it for attention. Like, I don't think you can like switch off like that. I don't think that's something that you can do for attention.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, one of my real formative experiences with this was a friend of mine who is she came out like our senior year of high school. She was the only out person in the entire school of our, what I later realized, a very conservative school on Long Island. And like, she took so much heat from everybody. It took so much bravery to do it. She started a chapter of PFLAG in our school. Almost nobody would show up to it. Like, she was ostracized. Like, that was 1999. And like, it took such integrity to do that. It takes such integrity now for trans people to stand up.
Grab your 2020 bingo card because
it's ludicrous. Oh, no problem.
I accidentally clicked on that, but
named Chase Strangio tweeted,
this was really fucked up.
Oh, right, a gay man.
The way he says his name, is really fucked up.
Wait, what is he? Is he misgendering him? Like what?
They're trans people and a lesbian. Huh. Oh, wait. What's missing here? Oh, right, a gay man.
He's saying that like he's gonna be one of like the march leaders along with
one of the grand marshals of this year's New York City Pride March, along with 3 other trans people and a lesbian. Huh. What's missing here? Oh, right, a gay man.
By the way, the other trans people, like, they could be gay. Like, what? Yeah. What the fuck?
What is
like?
What does he mean?
I don't even know. I don't even know if Chase is gay or not. You know what I mean?
Is the argument that the New York City Pride Parade is straying from its roots? I thought the Pride Parade was supposed to be about the gay men in the leather. What happened? That's Bill Maher's take.
Oh, is that what he's saying? He's saying Chase. People in the chat are saying Chase is gay. Like, Chase is a gay man. But Bill Maher, I guess, is like calling into question him being gay because, like, so here's one really interesting thing is that, like, you know, I'm not getting into like trans people's business. Don't get me wrong, but like one thing that is I guess to some degree established, and this doesn't mean that like trans men are not getting dunked on or not getting abused. Of course they are, but trans men are more accepted. Testosterone is like a easier. I mean, testosterone is like a very overpowering hormone. Bill Maher did the incredible thing of just like, you know, deciding to be like, no, you as a trans man, I'm gonna misgender you. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not enough. I'm gonna fucking misgender you as a trans man and also say that like you can't be gay.
Yeah,
which is wild because, you know, even fucking.
I'll be honest, I don't know if Bill Maher understands what he's talking about enough to be purposefully misgendering with that joke. I think he's just really confused. Like, I think he's just saying...
No, he's literally saying Chase can't be a gay man because if he fucks men exclusively, that means he's still straight because he's not a man, is what he's saying.
I understand. I'm not sure that that's what he thinks he's saying, but I'm not sure it matters. I think he thinks that he's like, the L is one type of person, the G is one type of person, the B is one type of person, the T is another type of person.
Yeah.
Where's the G's? And he like doesn't get that trans people, that trans men who are attracted to men are gay. I think but who the fuck knows? It doesn't matter. I just sometimes we got to separate stupidity from malice. That's all. But in this case, who cares? The result is the same. What does he say right after this?
I don't know. Let's see. Let's continue.
What is this?
That's where we are now. Gay men aren't hip enough for the gay pride parade.
Okay. That's his point. Yeah, right.
Compared to trans, gay is practically cis, and cis is practically Mormon.
Wait, compared to trans, gay is like, I mean, unless they are a gay trans person, yes.
So that's what I'm saying. He doesn't understand.
What the fuck?
He just
Wait, what?
He just sees trans as a more extreme form of gay. He's saying they're going crazy now. They're far left. They're moving to the left. Like that's he sees. He literally sees them on a spectrum like that when they are not. That's not what those words mean. But he thinks that they are on a scale. He thinks the Kinsey scale goes from straight to gay to trans.
Yeah. When you're super gay, you're trans. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
See, this is the thing about Bill is that he is, look, he was nice to me when I met him, but he is sometimes just old and stupid. And then sometimes also he's mean. So I don't defend. But
no, he's just like this is the type of shit that only works if you already have the presupposition that your audience is also just as stupid as you are. So then it's like funny because like, haha, we don't understand it. This is the same concept as like Dave Chappelle being like, trans people are weird, right? And then everyone clapping. That's just what it is. It's like, it's just that endless sequence of like old boomer liberals who are like, I don't really understand this trans shit. Okay. What are they, like super gay or something? And then Bill basically is just reinforcing that kind of attitude amongst his audience, and they're clapping.
Well, and look, comedy is about, I have a thought, don't you share the thought? And like that's who he is. And so he has the thought and he assumes his audience does, but he doesn't, he's living in a new world where now like everybody is watching this, not just people who can afford HBO, and everyone can have an opinion about it. And so there's like a disconnect there, and he can choose to care about the disconnect or not. He still happens to be one of the most popular talk shows.
Though, he was right though. The gay men are, especially white cis gay men, are the straight men of the LGBT community. Sorry. Let's continue. I'm sorry. I live in West Hollywood. Okay, I see it too much to.
In West Hollywood, you absolutely do. In West Hollywood,
I mean, do you know the amount of people that were fucking voting for Pete Buttigieg? Like, there was a motherfucker wearing a Pete Buttigieg shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, not to say that Pete Buttigieg is transphobic or whatever, but like that is some straight white men behavior right there. To be like, no, I'm going for Pete Buttigieg. Even I'm wearing his shirt when he's not even when he's no longer in the primaries.
There's a certain like kind of there are people who, as soon as equality was won to their satisfaction, they ran straight to the right. And
Dave Rubin.
And they're very happy to do it. And like West Hollywood as a gay neighborhood, when it became incorporated as a city, there were plenty of people who were like, great, now I'm going to make a lot of money here. Look, not my community. I don't want to speak too much, but
I speak on this community all the time, despite not even remotely being a part of it. So Adam ruins everything except your stream is on. Can we have him on back soon? Oh, look at that.
Anytime I'll come back. I'm having a blast.
Yeah, well, I'm about to blast him with the top of the hour ad break again. Time flies when you're having fun. At the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Do that for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime. Here's the 1-minute ad break now again. That's right. Here it is.
I see you also have a Stream Deck and never use it. I have the same problem with mine.
Oh no, I've been using it to switch through. Okay. I've been using it to switch through camera angles and stuff, and like controlling different cameras and shit. But other than that, I don't really have too much use for it.
Yeah, and I mean, your hand's always on the mouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The bummer about Bill, and like, look, I have friends who work on the show. I was on the show. It's like uncomfortable for me because I'm in comedy, right? But like, this show is so popular. Like when I did an appearance on this show, and I got more. It was like 3 years ago, and Bill was very nice to me. I got more people writing to me, "Oh my God, I saw you on Bill Maher," than any other appearance I've done. I've done Colbert twice. I've done Conan.
I did not know that. I did not know that it was that poppin'.
Yeah, it's extremely popular among a certain segment of the population. A lot of people watch it every single week. And
what's up, Bill?
To see this stuff.
What's up, Bill? I was just kidding when I said all those things. You should have me on the show. I don't know what this guy's saying. He is a phony. He's literally shitting on you after being on your show. Me, I am your most loyal subject. You know what I'm saying?
It's just. I wish this is not what Bill were using his platform to talk about, or I wish that he were having people on who could set him straight. Unfortunately, it's casualty of boomer brain. Unfortunately,
yeah. Well, he's so narcissistic. Like he thinks he knows everything. It's like the entitled boomer attitude is just like
this is a guy.
I hate it. I hate I hate that nothing. I think nothing kills comedy as much as like seeking acceptance and like seeking validation.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I hate is when you fucking when you're just like so self-assured and you think like you know everything and you're so smug.
Yeah.
And that's like not funny. I think Dave Chappelle's like fallen into that trap as well, and he was like a brilliant comedian.
It's very funny that people often accuse Adam Ruins Everything of being smug, and they apparently did not watch the show, because the whole point of the show is that I was playing a character, a Pee Wee Herman-esque version of myself, who was constantly being corrected by everybody else and being told he was an idiot and revising his opinions, right? That shit is really important. But like, Maher does these ads that are like, he says what other people don't, like fearless. And then he says underinformed shit like this, and it's a fucking bummer, and yeah, that's his like point of view is like, it's what I hate in comedy is shit that is so first thought, so basic, like just not even a take, just stuff that everybody is saying being framed as somehow boundary pushing. Like he
was boundary pushing when he said the people that fucking flew the planes on 9/11 were brave. It takes bravery to fucking fly the plane into the buildings versus lobbing Predator missiles from thousands of miles. That's not brave. Yeah. That was actually a brave take.
Yeah.
And he got punished for it severely, and he's been just a bitch since then. Okay, over and over again, getting owned.
Do you remember when he said the N-word? Do you remember the context of that?
That was not brave.
It wasn't brave. No. What I'm saying is this is his entire. This like very much fits his entire way of being, because he was just saying the context of him saying that was. I forget who he was talking to. I think a senator, and the senator was like, "Hey, don't you go outside and exercise or whatever?" And he goes, "No, I'm a house N-word, right?" Mm-hmm. And he's just using the word to say, I don't go outside much. And he thinks that's an appropriate time to drop that. And then he was like, why couldn't I? You know? And so that sort of, I should get to say anything at any time. And doesn't everybody know how I feel about this? And that sort of like presumption is really part and parcel of and it wasn't even a fucking joke.
Yeah, he's odd, but
there wasn't even a take. There was nothing to it.
His audience loves that though. They're like, oh yeah, that's sick. He said the N-word. I bet they had no problem with that. What, Ice Cube was on that episode? Wow, the man who ended racism with Black White. That's crazy. Have you ever seen that show?
No.
Black White. Oh my God. Okay, well. Fun show for you to watch later.
I'll check it out.
You can find my community uploaded all the episodes onto the internet. It's Ice Cube's show where he produced, where he makes a white family do blackface and a black family do whiteface, and they live together. And the white dad is like fucking super racist. It's awesome. Unfortunately, I mean it's not. Well, first of all, let me just say this. It's not just blackface. It's Emmy award-winning blackface. That's true. It won an Emmy award.
It did?
Yeah, for the blackface. Yeah.
Wow.
The man who did the blackface actually ended up doing all the makeup for the non-prosthetic makeup for Marvel movies too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. it's
great.
incredible. I have to see this.
Anyway,
It
let's
sounds
continue
like
with
a
this.
research experiment.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's fucking awesome. I wish they would bring it back.
And this is a phenomenon we need to take into account when we look at this issue. Yes, part of the rise in LGBT numbers is from people feeling free enough to tell it to a pollster, and that's all to the good. But some of it is, it's trendy. Penis equals man. Okay.
That's not a thing. Like, who was he talking to?
Oh my God.
Who was he talking about? Like, I don't understand that. Like,
based on what? Why does he believe this?
who the fuck is so weak-willed that they're just like, yeah, no, I'm fundamentally altering my entire existence, and I'm gonna be fucking abused by like random onlookers, and my entire existence is going to be debated on a daily basis in like very like in daytime television, even, you know what I mean, like as though it's a normal conversation to have about someone, specifically so I get attention. Like, that's just crazy. You know what this is, and I'm tying this back to the trans athlete conversation.
Sure.
Conservatives always say, oh, well, what if I said I'm a woman and then I competed immediately and dominated the competition? It's like, yeah, that doesn't happen. Because it doesn't happen, you have to go and do it yourself. And everybody knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you're just a piece of shit. You're doing that. It's a fake. It's a phony. Okay.
Like, why don't you do it?
But that's the thing.
If it's such an easy way to win a competition, why don't you go fucking do it?
The only instances where like someone is cheating as a fake trans person is like conservatives who in their desperation could not find someone that does it. So they are doing it. And they're not even doing a good job with it either. Like, bitch, you're not taking HRT. You know what I mean? And
it's fucking Steven Crowder putting a dress on and going into a bathroom shit.
Exactly. It's just so stupid.
Okay, boomer. Remember the
yeah.
That explains a lot.
That's
boomer.
That was such a great punchline.
Yeah. You know my man is here. It's the Adam Carolla show now.
The OG himself.
Why? It's
the original.
In his mind, the only thing that's going through his mind is that, you know, fucking Zoomers no longer want to eat beef stew. That's what he's thinking. In his mind, he's thinking like, it's alarming. Nobody's thinking about stew.
I did his podcast once. Craziest experience of my life. Airplane hangar sized space. I was trying to explain Adam Ruins Everything, and then he stopped me so he could rant about Mrs. Butterworth for 25 minutes.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I don't remember the context, but he was really mad about it wasn't about the character. It was about like a bottle of syrup. It was like about his wife leaving the bottle of syrup sticky or something like that. It was a fine appearance, and I have no beef with it. It was at the height of Adam Carolla being an extremely popular podcaster, which I don't know if he still is. But
damn, bro, you've been on all these fucking weirdo boomers shows. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, well, it's, comedy has only finally gotten to the point where people like this are comfortable saying, I'm a right-wing comedian. And so, it used to be everyone was sort of playing it like, no, we're all just comics. There's no right-wing and left-wing
we would just call them hacks, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, wow, okay, this guy's a fucking hack.
But now you got fucking, if you look at like, Shane Gillis, the guy who was fired from SNL for being racist was,
I'm going to be honest with you.
Apologizing.
I'm going to be honest with you. As far as like all those comedians go, at least Shane is like capable of making me laugh every now and then.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think he
does jokes, but if you watch his latest special, it's him going like, Trump is so good, dude. Like, Trump is fucking awesome.
I watched the special.
Yeah.
I think there was like weird parts about it. I'm gonna be honest though. Shane Gillis was surprising for me, at least. I think he does have like the hacky right wing bits, but I don't think he's like he is definitely like leaning into the right wing shit because it's like such an easy way to immediately land on an audience and go on like the Adam Carolla show and shit like that.
I'm not saying he's a bad comic. He's a good comic, but he's mask off. He's like, I'm a fucking pro-Trump comic.
Because like I say I like Trump too. I don't think he like legitimately is like a Trump supporter. Maybe he is, but I did think, no, I'm not friends with Shane Gillis. I don't know him at all, but I am I was surprised, to say the least, about his like. I will defend his comedy, even though it's like very subjective. I would go so far as to say that like his special wasn't all that bad because like I don't think the Trump stuff was serious. I think he was like making fun of like Trump being a good content machine, which I agree with. Maybe I don't know. Look. That's all I'm gonna say about Shane Gillis. All of the bits that they showcased when he got an SNL job was fucking dog shit. It was just like it's the same exact things that you could easily cut about like Cumtown and whatever. It's like you can absolutely look at someone's body of work, especially when they are, especially when they're like trying to make jokes and like reach for the low hanging fruit like that. And I thought for the longest time that he was like incapable of being funny. He was just like one of those like, Cumtown light dudes. You know what I mean? But, I do think that he has some funny bits at least. These guys have never been funny. I don't think Adam Carolla has been funny ever. And like all his humor revolves around. Oh, like my bitch ex-wife. Oh, I fucking hate her, or whatever the fuck. Whereas,
Look, my point is just that we are starting to see like the genuine split where everyone used to try to like play it very straight and go like, you never really know. And Shane still does that a little bit, but I think it's like look, there are comics who are fucking right wingers and they're out there doing it, and like I can't say that we're at least finally being honest about our fucking ideologies in comedy, right? But a couple years ago it was easier to like sort of ignore that and just go on someone's show for fun. That's all.
Yeah.
Not that I wouldn't fucking go on Bill Maher again because he lets you yell at him when he says shit like this.
What is this? Why did you click? Why do you want me to look at his thing? Why did you send me his Wikipedia? Continuation of stand-up? I don't know. Anyway, some of his bits are actually pretty funny. Look, I making me laugh is a very difficult thing, the way I see it. I'm not like a joy killer by any means, but like I do value people that are like at least a little bit funny and can do good bits.
Look, people used to say, like, bizarrely, like 5 or 6 years ago, they would say there's no such thing as conservative comedy. And it's not true. There were no, like, out conservative comedians or very few at the time. But, like, it fucking exists, Like, liberal comedy, progressive comedy goes like, why's the world got to be this way? We should change things. Conservative comedy goes, why's everyone got to change everything, those, there's been comics with those views. And, like, now comedy is getting like culture war just like everything else, and like Bill's choosing a side,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Here, this is some good ass right wing comedy. If this is who I think it is.
When our leader,
that's it, Jim Brewer, baby. Let's go.
Put that out there and pointed the finger like we're the demons. I'm not vaccinated. I had COVID. You're not gonna tell me about my body. I know my body. I know my morals. I know my faith. You don't come telling me and threaten me. And when
like this guy is just incapable of being funny. Anyway, okay, let's continue. Let's finish this.
Remember, the prime directive of every teen is anything to shock and challenge the squares who brought you up. It's why nobody gets a nose ring at 56. And if you haven't noticed that with kids, doing something for the likes is more important than their own genitals, you haven't been paying attention.
Oh.
Dr. Erica.
Dude, how is it any different than an incel talking about women? You are so fucking far in proximity from like what a fucking Zoomer is and their mindset that like you should not be talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when incels are like, this is what women are like. I'm like, bitch, you've never been around a woman. What the fuck are you talking about?
This stuff bothers me because, like, I do comedy where I try to fucking learn something about the world and then, like, share it with people, something that I didn't know already. That's kind of the whole thing that I do. And so when people are so incurious about other people's experience and, like, just go with their first reaction without actually talking to another human being, it really bothers me.
Yeah, no, it's not about that anyway, because he's just trying to talk to an audience that already agrees with him, and he's like trying to farm some conservatives.
Anderson is a prominent 71-year-old clinical psychologist who is herself transgender and who now says, I think it's gone too far. The LA Times summarizes.
Yeah, Blair White. Okay, yeah, like there's gonna be reactionaries in every all shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds. That doesn't mean that.
This is also one line from a woman who has a very complex experience as a someone who treats children, like that has been pulled out. Like this woman has a
I don't
is a
know,
much more complex article than this.
I don't know what Dr. Erica.
It's
Anderson,
true. Neither do I. I didn't read the whole article with her in the LA Times, but she like does provide, my understanding is, gender affirming care to children.
Oh Jesus! Here we go. It's on fucking Killette. A trans pioneer explains her resignation from the U.S. Professional Association for Transgender Health.
Okay, never mind.
Oh,
I
here
haven't
we
been
go.
following up.
Berkeley-based
I'm
clinical
not up to date on
psychologist Erica Anderson describes her mission as helping those who have embarked on a gender journey. She also seeks to advance the share the goals of social justice and transgender well-being. Offers assistance to anyone to understand, educate. Last year, Dr. Anderson read Abigail Schreier's book, which many transgender activists... but Dr. Anderson was open to Schreier's concerns about being girls swept up by trans identification. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my... So this is a trans doctor who literally fucking specializes in this and then read this dumbass book and was like, I'm red-pilled now. I love that. Okay, well, great. Poor care some children who identify as transgender has been receiving. Dr. Anderson, who transitioned to living as a woman after growing up as a Boy Scout and church leader group in suburban Minnesota, told Schreier she submitted a co-authored op-ed to the New York Times warning that many transgender healthcare providers were treating kids recklessly. How? What does that even mean?
Look, there are complicated questions when you're treating an actual individual child, right? And that's like a thing that your health, as a health provider, you should be taking into account. It's different when you decide to join the culture war on it. Because that's where everything gets flattened. That's when you end up next to Bill Maher, with like one sentence from you pulled out.
But I don't think they even care at that point that they're being like used in this regard, because I think like you just kind of dive into it and that's your shared community now.
Yeah.
Like that's how it works. Great. Yeah, John Mulaney had Dave Chappelle open for him. Okay, let's just continue with this, and then
She's
we'll
come
get
to
back.
believe that some children identifying as trans are falling under the influence of their peers and social media. If you attend a small dinner party of typically very liberal, upper-income Angelenos, it is not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio? If this spike in trans children...
Wait, come on, bro. You could say that about gay kids. Like, what the fuck?
What the hell?
That is so psychotic. Yeah, in Youngstown, Ohio, parents are not as, open-minded about,
If you get 10 people together, what's the statistic? You get 10 people together, there's a 50-50 chance that 2 of them share a birthday. Like, it's fucking law of large numbers statistical shit. That, you get enough people together, you're going to have 2 parents of a trans kid. Like...
What the fuck? That's so wild. I think it's about 25 people. Oh, okay. That is actually incredible. 23 people is what they're saying. Some people are
thank you everybody jumping in the chat. Yes, you
this also ties back into that idiotic notion that you're transing kids by having who's transing the children? Like who's doing that? How is it happening? Is it by watching movies where trans people who exist in society are openly allowed to exist in the movie? Is that what? Because if that's the case, like everything else is like cis het normative. So what the fuck is that working against it?
And what is the supposed social advantage that trans kids are meant to have? Like if he's saying that like it's trendy, kids want to do it because it's not cool to just be gay anymore. Like, what is the social advantage that trans kids like? Is it great? Like, I know plenty of trans folks. None of them are like, haha, I'm better than you. I got an easy life. Things are great for me.
Wait, they're not dominating every athletic endeavor? Like Superwoman? What the fuck? That's so strange. That's what everyone tells me in the, all the trans people I know are like fucking wearing, coder socks and playing Hearts of Iron, but like... and they're frail as fuck, but I guess I'm wrong. There's these incredible. They're all deep hidden inside of them is this incredible athlete waiting to come out. You know what I mean? It's just they're hiding it.
All right, I gotta split in like 10 minutes. So let's
let's finish.
Why is it regional?
And I gotta plug my fucking Netflix show.
Either Ohio is shaming them or California is creating them.
Okay, so Ohio is shaming them.
Shaming them or California is creating them.
Yeah, so he already figured it out. Yeah. Okay, Ohio's shaming them. Got it.
but he's saying California's treating them with a snake.
What is Coder
It's
Sock's
like that day
programmer
we
sauce?
suddenly all needed bottled water all the time. If we can't admit that in certain enclaves there is some level of trendiness to the idea of being anything other than straight, then this is not a serious science-based discussion.
What science?
It's a blow being struck in the culture
What
wars
science?
using children as cannon fodder.
Is
I don't understand parents.
There's no
who won't
science
let their
around
Is there a
9-year-old
study
walk to the
showing that it's
corner
trendy
without
to
a
be
help.
trans? What is he talking about?
Yeah,
So I said you should play it, and then I started talking over it.
Yeah.
An EpiPen and a GPS tracker. And God forbid their lips touch dairy. But
Oh my God, it's all boomer anxieties now. God forbid. They're not even giving them dairy. They're not even giving them cow milk.
I'm surprised he didn't do a peanut joke.
Oh, yeah,
That would
yeah.
have been a little bit more on the nose. That would be my punch up. Make it peanut. Peanuts are funny.
But hormone blockers and genital surgery, fine.
Like, that's such a lie. That's not even. There's no state where it's legal to do genital surgery before the age of 18. Like, you're just the only genital surgery conducted widely is, again, we're intactivists here, so this is a safe space for you to fucking say it, is circumcision. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
That's the only genital surgery conducted on millions of babies.
Yeah,
all
often
right?
without even asking their parents.
Exactly, dude. It's fucking bullshit. Or unless they're an intersex baby, that's also true. Exactly. That's another genital surgery conducted.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Talk about a nut allergy.
Oh, there's the peanut joke.
Yeah.
There you go. Fucking Donna.
I guess penises are gross now, but one might come in handy later on. And if you're a man who wants to experience life without a pair of balls, you do not have to get surgery. You can get married.
Oh, my bitch wife. Oh. Let's go. You know, my balls, all my friends, their balls are in their wife's purse. What a zinger. Adam Carolla is clapping. He's like, yeah, this is my shit. Yeah, talk more about your fucking bitch wife. Oh, yeah. Someone said this is the multiverse of boomer jokes. Exactly. Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, they work. They fucking work, you know?
Yeah,
They work for I mean, he's killing. He's killing.
And never forget, children are impressionable and very, very stupid.
Unlike boomers.
Kids don't know why mom drinks every day or why dad has 2 cell phones.
See, this is the writers are just having fun here. They're doing a great job with the very difficult premise.
Maybe the
and
boy
just
who
writing
thinks
some
he's a
solid
girl
ones
is
here.
just gay.
You're just hyping your fucking
Or whatever.
homies up in the writing team, dude. Okay, all right.
Dude, I mean, look, I'm a comedy writer. I gotta stand up for my
they're
fellows. You know what I mean? Solidarity.
Yo, I was more aware of the world at 12 than this boomer is today. I mean,
Frasier was.
oh my God, Frasier reference. Hold on.
Wait, hold on. Yeah.
Maybe the boy who thinks he's a girl is just gay. Or whatever Frasier was.
What a reference.
Maybe the girl who hates girly stuff just needs to learn that being female doesn't mean you have to act like a Kardashian.
Oh, that's good. That's a good. That's to punch at trans people with the.
Maybe
sexist
childhood makes you sad sometimes, and there are other solutions besides hand me the dick saw.
Oh God.
The obsession with genital surgery is such a bummer.
Yeah.
That it like truly is such a like small part of this entire story, and it's like
They always go to
inflated
that.
so
He
much.
always goes to that shit.
I'm sure the vast majority of parents do not take this lightly, and that it's very hard to know when something is real or just a phase. And I understand being trans is different. It's innate. But kids do also have phases. They're kids. It's all phases. The dinosaur phase, the Hello Kitty phase. One day they want to be an astronaut, the next day you can't get them to leave their room. Gender fluid, kids are fluid about everything. If kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, the world would be filled with cowboys and princesses.
Why? What? You can extend this entire logic to gay people, by the way. So I wonder why he's not doing that, and he's only hyper focusing on trans people. Maybe because it's more socially acceptable to dunk on trans people.
Yeah, because we're at 1995 for trans people. Like it's just.
Because like this is the same shit. You could just be like, yeah, your kid's not gay. He's just making it up. It's a phase. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's the bummer about this stuff is that like I'm like they don't see the future on this because I do because I already lived it one time. Like I went through the entire, I mean, not personally, but saw my friends go through the entire like social transformation on gay rights. It like happened. It only took a couple decades of my lifetime. It took a lot longer for everybody else. I'm sorry, but like from me becoming aware of what gay people were to gay marriage was like 20 years. And it's like I've seen this happen once before. We're gonna see it happen again unless we let the motherfuckers down south like drag us back. But Jesus Christ.
I also don't understand, like, I mean, I just don't get how, like, you can compare that to being, like, a cowboy. Like, wanting to... He's making it seem like you just want to be trans. You know what I mean? Like, you just... Like, as though, like, a 7-year-old is like, damn, I'm going to be so trendy by fucking transing myself. Like, what like, 14-year-old is thinking about this with those terms? Like, it's already, like, a terrifying prospect. It's just so stupid. Like... I don't know.
The bummer of this is that like what he's saying has there is a teeny grain of truth to it, which is that if you have an actual kid, you need to work really hard to understand your actual kid. You know what I mean? Not everybody has the same story.
But there's no circumstance in which like parents are like, oh yeah, let's give you fucking life altering surgery. That doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. And even when your child wants to look up the statistics, then what do you mean look up the statistics? What statistics are you referencing? Even when a child's like, I'm trans, I think, which takes up a fuckload of courage, okay, to even do that. It doesn't. It's not like an overnight thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like. The thing is that he's using this to attack trans people, and these arguments are used to attack specifically the parents of trans kids who have made with their kids like a decision that is right for the kid, and that they are fucking attacked on social media by their own state governments. And like, so the just asking questions thing, like if the argument was really, hey, some kids are different. They're not all the same. And like what's one for is not right for another. That's fine. But that is not the purpose of the argument. The purpose of the argument is to say we should ban giving gender affirming care to kids. We should take the decision away from parents and from their children. And that's like, it's never made explicit, but that's the purpose of the argument. And that's what sucks about it.
All right. It's almost done.
I wanted to be a pirate. Thank God nobody took me seriously and scheduled me for eye removal and peg leg surgery.
Oh my God! Don't laugh at that.
This is just like you were saying about here's the thing. I respect. I can say a comic that was a well-written joke. The joke came out okay, but the premise is false. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You like that pirate joke? That was fire.
Nah, it wasn't fire.
Okay, no, it's fine. I don't know. Maybe you liked it.
It's like as a comedy writer, you're like, oh, they finished the math problem. You know what I mean? They figured out X equals 2. They did the algebra. So I gotta,
All right. Well, plug your shit.
Okay. So the new show called The G Word. It's on Netflix. It's all about the federal government. We didn't even talk about what we did on that show. We fucking talk about.
We did. We talked about it from the point of view of like baby formula and the FDA and
regulation.
Its role it plays.
We did a thing. People liking this will probably like our segment about drone strikes that we did and the military-industrial complex.
Wait, you did a thing about drone strikes and Obama? Is Obama involved in the?
Obama is an executive producer of the show. He's on the show. So
what the fuck?
And
okay.
we do a segment about drone strikes on the show.
How did he receive that? Well, I guess we'll have to watch to find out.
You'll have to watch. I mean, I'll come back on again to talk about it if you want, but you can see somewhere in the trailer there's a segment about drone. There's a clip of the drone strike segment. Yeah, I mean, like he was like, his people were like, "You sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And it was communicated to me that he didn't fully agree with the segment, but we did it anyway. So
that's pretty cool.
That I just want to make sure all my leftist fans know that, despite making a show with the former president, we did it with the integrity that we try to bring to everywhere. And my strategy is always to like pick the biggest fight I can. So that was
That's pretty cool. That's like, I mean, he's made jokes about it already, talking about fucking droning the Jonas Brothers and shit. So
he appears in the show in 2 occasions. It's not his show; it's my show. We had editorial independence with the show, so we got to say a lot of shit that is not. It's not the Obama point of view.
Was it? He's not capping and posted it. Yeah, executive producer Barack and Michelle Obama. That goddamn.
Yep, correct. We also profile an incredible group in Philadelphia called Reclaim Philly. The people who got Larry Krasner elected there, who are like changing criminal justice there. It's a great show. Very proud of it. Please watch it. Try to binge the whole thing, because if you watch the first episode, you don't finish it, Netflix counts it against us. So please give it a watch. I also do, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Adam Conover. And I do a podcast called Factually, where I interview a different expert every single week. Really good podcast, if I do say so myself. Thanks for having me on, man.
Coming on, dude.
Absolutely.
Hopefully this was a little bit better of an experience than the Bill Maher show or the Joe Rogan experience.
It absolutely was. I'd love to come back anytime, man.
All right, hell yeah.
Can I use your bathroom before?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's to the left. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. It was Adam Conover, and his show is called The G Word. Okay, his show is called The G Word. And that was a fun little experience, I think.